Hello. Oh, God. Why do we look like this? Why do we look like this? Who did this? Who did this? Right out the chute. Right out the chute. Somebody comes and does that. What's wrong with people? I can't hear you. Unbelievable. What a start. What a start to the show today. But we're here. Good morning. Love
Good
Wrestling.
morning.
Thursday. It's officially May. It's officially May. May 1st, 2025 here on Love Wrestling. It is Thursday morning. Firmly Inc. We are here. We have your AEW coverage. We have your WWE coverage of the week that has been so far in pro wrestling. Yeah, that's where we're at, Drew. That's where we're at. It's already May. Who would have thought? Who would have thought?
Yeah, I know, right? It's been interesting.
Yeah, it has.
It's been interesting
It has.
so far.
It has. Before we start diving in, we have WWE to talk about. We have AEW to talk about. Good Dynamite last night. Excellent Raw this past Monday. SmackDown was very good. Got a good amount of stuff to go over and a good amount of stuff to talk about. So, before we dive into all that stuff, how we doing?
Not well.
What do you mean?
No. My allergies have really ramped up in the last couple of days.
Unbelievable.
It sucks. It sucks. I'm not gonna lie.
Unbelievable. You gotta, some of us are not born with just perfect immune systems,
Oh, if only. If only.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. I've had people around me my whole life.
My eyes are scratchy. I'm all clogged.
Isn't there medicine you people can take?
Yeah, I'm taking it, but it barely works.
So if you're paying money for medicine and then the medicine doesn't work, why do you pay money for the medicine? Why don't you just sit there and take it?
Well,
would it be significantly worse if you didn't take the medicine?
Yeah.
Even though you said the medicine doesn't work?
It would be significantly worse.
So then the medicine works.
Well, it's like helping, I would say 70%.
I mean, 70 is not bad.
The 30 is kind of bad, though. So,
yeah, but like 70, what if it was the other way around?
Well, yeah, I mean,
you know what I'm saying?
It could be worse. It's been worse than this before, but
yeah. Anyway, I mean,
how are you doing?
I'm tired, bro. Today
are you 70% tired, or are you 100% tired?
Dude, I'm a professional. I come on here ready to go, no matter the situation. No matter the situation, no matter the moment.
I guess because of my allergies, I'm not a professional.
You have never seen me show up on airwaves on any platform not being 100% who I am always and forever. Doesn't matter how I'm feeling on the inside. Doesn't matter how I'm feeling. I have a thing to do, and we show up at 100% all the time. That's how we roll. That's how we roll. So even if I was doing bad, you wouldn't be able to tell because I'm a goddamn professional. That's who I am.
Thank you, Josh.
That's who I am. Some of us are just built different, as they say.
Oh, wait
as
a minute.
They say, Drew. What?
Well, I just noticed there's a Twitter
Yeah,
handle up there.
yeah, we do the beards because we still, I don't know what's going on the Twitter side of things, but yeah, I don't know what's going on in that.
I put
But
my Twitter account in there.
so, well, ours still works for some reason. The beards one, it still goes live on. So we figured, hey man, let's get on Twitter.
Oh,
So I didn't
this is
set
a
up the
special
I
Firmly
didn't
episode of Beards.
well I didn't set up the room today, so I don't know. That was just kind of there when I got here. So I was just like, all right, I'm not gonna change it. But yeah. So we're on all three today, Drew. We're on YouTube right now. We're on
awesome.
Twitch right now. We're on Twitter right now. We're having a good time. All right, Drew. Where are we starting? We started with WWE last week because obviously we had the fallout from Mania and the go home show. Not the go home show. Raw after Mania, which was a good piece of wrestling television. We had a really good SmackDown on Friday, capped off by just an all-time main event and that triple threat TLC match for the tag titles. Just an all-time SmackDown main event that match was. So we had that. I thought Raw was very good. I thought Dynamite was pretty good last night too. So we can kind of go wherever we want to go here.
Well,
was it? Is there anything
Raw,
else that has tickled your fancy before we dive into talking about specific shows or anything like that? Any news or anything outside the ring that you wanted to talk about?
What did you hear? What movie Liv Morgan is supposed to be?
Some neon something. They're filming in Japan, right? Is that what it was?
Yeah, I heard it was in Japan. Like that's
It's a big deal for her. I have no idea what that movie is, so I don't know if it's a big deal or not. It sounds like something that could be a big deal, but it sounds like something that is not in the realm of things that are on. I don't know what it is. I never heard of it. But
yeah, I hadn't either, and I
it's a
thought it
big.
was going to be like some Marvel movie or something. The way it
That's
was
what
being.
the way. Again, I don't know much about the movie. I don't know much about the franchise. I don't know much about anything. So it could be a very, very big deal. But the way that it was being presented to me was that this was going to be like some sort of major motion picture type of thing. And at least from the name alone, it does not feel that way to me.
No.
So,
I mean, congrats to her.
yeah, that great. No, she's fantastic. She deserves everything she gets. We love Liv Morgan around here. Liv Morgan is great, and it's great for her. For me, I don't know what that movie is, but again, WWE is going to elevate everything that everybody does for them because that's just in the mode they're in right now. The thing, not even so much the movie, because I'm out of touch when it comes to certain things like what's popular with like, I don't know. Unless you're like this big super duper movie, like most likely I'm not gonna know what the hell you are. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna be 40 years old tomorrow. So like I don't know like what the 20-year-olds or what, like whatever anime. I don't know what they're doing. They're all weird. So I don't know.
You.
What I didn't even know what that is. It's on Netflix about the creepy stalker guy. That's good. Let's make a 5-season show about a guy who stalks women. So that's good. That seems like a healthy thing to make in this climate with the type of humans we have walking the earth. That seems good. So like things like that, the thing that stuck out to me when it came to it was when they started naming the other stars of the movie. I didn't know if Liv Morgan is the biggest star that I know in the movie, it's probably not that big a movie. Sorry. Hate to tell everybody. Sorry.
Yeah.
If I don't know one other actor in the movie, it ain't a major motion picture. Hate to tell you. It's okay, though. It's okay.
Did you see that absolutely gnarly bump that Leon Slater took at the TNA show?
I think people were. Look, I get it. I get it. I thought people were overreacting a lot to it. Yeah, I mean, look at the spot was insane. That is an insane spot.
Yeah.
To do a 450 like that off the top of a cage. The guys that were in the match with them, what are you doing? Poor AJ Francis is the only one that tried to save that motherfucker. And I timed that perfectly. Poor AJ Francis is the only one that tried to save that motherfucker. And yet everybody on the internet is flaming AJ Francis more than anybody else because he's AJ Francis. And that's just what people do.
Are they?
Yeah. He even said something about it. He even said something. He was like,
I'm the only barely anybody talk about
him.
He
was like, I'm the only one that actually tried to catch the guy, and you guys are all coming for me. I was like, makes sense.
I felt like people were going for Moose more than anybody.
Yeah, well, I don't know. But yeah, I saw the spot. Obviously, it's been all over the interwebs. Ridiculous spot. You know what I didn't like more? And I didn't watch Rebellion in whole. I just saw what I saw on social media. You know what I didn't like more about that match? Is Leon Slater won that match. And they just pretended that Moose did.
I didn't watch the match. I just saw that spot. But
if I recall,
how did that happen?
If I recall, and again, I'm not Josh is in the chat. He was an avid TNA watcher for a long period of time. I was not. But if I recall, an X Division match, they have the belt kind of in the middle of the ropes or whatever, and you got to take the belt down like a ladder match kind of thing. And if you land with the belt, you are the champion. That is how I recall that. Like, that is how you win that match, I believe. Someone can tell me I'm wrong, but I believe that is how you win that match. Leon Slater, after that ridiculous spot, he gets the belt, rips it off the ropes, and he lands on the ground. And they timed it that like the second he landed on the ground, Moose speared him, and the belt went flying, and Moose picked up the belt and is the X Division champion. Now, I understand what they were trying to do there, but Leon Slater, both his feet hit the mat with the belt in his hand. You should spear him before he hits the ground. Spear him while he's still in the air.
Maybe it probably was mistimed.
So Leon Slater, it was a cool looking spot. Leon Slater should be the X Division champion, not Moose. That's the thing that bothered me the most, rather than the thing that was hitting the airwaves all the time. But a ridiculous looking spot. I mean, I'm one of these people like to have the balls to even do it. You know what I'm saying?
I mean,
like to know you're up there and go, I'm doing this. I'm doing this. So they better, it's a lot of faith you put in other people. And have we seen a 450 from the top of the cage? Now this was on the outside too. So this was a 450.
Yeah, that had to be like almost 15 feet or something.
Yeah, this was the top of the cage, 450 to the outside. It's just, that's a wild spot. Why couldn't they just do it
in the ring?
That's a wild spot. It's a wild spot. But you know what else happened at that TNA Rebellion show? Is after Joe Hendry retained the TNA Heavyweight Championship, Trick Williams showed up and beat the crap out of him.
Yeah, that's right.
Trick Williams showed up, beat the crap out of him. Obviously, Joe Hendry was on NXT last week, giving Trick Williams some crap. And we saw Joe Hendry on NXT this week as well. So we're going that with Trick Williams and Joe Hendry here for the TNA title, it looks like. Yeah.
Now so I say the partnership is working.
Yeah, I mean, I would think so. I would think that it feels like we're gonna get Trick Williams versus Joe Hendry for the TNA Heavyweight title here soon. I would think Joe Hendry will win that match.
It would also be nice if that match was on TNA program.
I would like that. I would like that.
I don't know.
I don't think it will be. I don't think it will be. But I would like that. I guess for me, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, I have always been very pro this, like, like I love it. I do feel like whenever we do the crossovers though, like WWE wins.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
This is,
It's like
I will
it's like
say
a,
legitimately, this is the first time where I feel like TNA got something meaningful. Because
yeah, but are we
listen,
sure that TNA is going to win this one? Like,
well, I mean,
are we 100% sure?
when I say win or meaningful, I mean more that somebody of stature and importance and relevance in the current NXT climate made a move and is shown on TNA programming.
I agree.
Because
I agree.
I don't think that Wendy Chu is.
We're not talking bad about Wendy Chu here. We like Wendy Chu.
I like her. I'm not saying anything bad about her, or I like her character and everything. But when TNA is giving you its top women's star for NXT and the Royal Rumble and whatever else, and then you're giving them Wendy Chu,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, 100%,
it's like
100%. I
not exactly level, not exactly level.
I fully
But
agree.
um,
But their TNA champion was on WrestleMania, so when you make it to the level that a certain superstar in your company is showing up on, regardless of the circumstances of how they got there, their TNA champion Joe Hendry was on WrestleMania fighting Randy Orton at WrestleMania. That is just not any old spot.
yeah, I
For
still
Joe.
don't think that looks good for TNA. Great for Joe
we're,
Hendry.
we're not
but,
gonna
you know,
agree on that because I can't see how anybody feels that way. When was the last time we saw TNA referenced or brought up on WrestleMania ever? Oh, okay. It never happened before. Okay. Somehow that's a
yes,
bad thing.
it doesn't.
Somehow that's a bad thing that they were referenced
98.
in their
I can
championship
guarantee you.
belt was
I
shown
can
on
guarantee you.
WrestleMania.
98.
Somehow it's a bad thing.
0.5% of every single person who ever will see that spot is not going to tune into TNA.
Okay, that doesn't matter though. At the end of the day, the TNA Heavyweight Championship was on WrestleMania. Commentary was talking about the history and the lineage of the TNA Championship.
And it did nothing
Regardless,
for TNA.
but how
So
do you know?
what?
But how do you know? You don't know that yet. You don't, like, I'm just saying, like, it's just for people to think that that was a bad thing for TNA, you have no clue. You are clueless. Clueless. You just don't get it. What do you mean? What do you mean? Like,
It's just
what would have been better if Joe Hendry wasn't on WrestleMania or if Joe Hendry was on WrestleMania for TNA?
no.
You're just saying it would have been equal. It didn't matter at all. That
Here's
their
the
heavyweight
thing.
championship was
You
shown
had
on
to.
television.
You see what you just did?
Down.
Do you see what you just did? You included in quick form, in a lower voice than the rest of it, in TNA. You said you did that. You did that. I don't know if you realize that you just did that.
I asked you a question to start. I said, when was the last time that TNA was referenced, talked about? They talked about the lineage of the when was the last time that's ever happened in the previous 40 WrestleManias?
In the grand scheme, if nothing happens to TNA as a result of it getting mentioned at WrestleMania, in a segment of the show that was significant enough, I will agree.
Randy Orton.
It was Randy Orton.
Yeah, correct.
And there was a surprise moment for Joe Hendry because we didn't know who was facing Randy Orton, and they made a big deal out of that going to the show. I concede that 100%. I'm not taking anything away from that. But if it does nothing for TNA, they can say whatever the hell they want.
Yeah, but again,
it's got to result in eyes and ticket buys and merchandise and things for the TNA business in order for it to be good for TNA.
Yeah.
It's going to do wonders for Joe Hendry, but for TNA, the business, the company, Oh yeah, they got their name mentioned on WrestleMania. Congrats.
Okay, you don't get it. I didn't even want to talk about it because we argued about it last week, and you didn't get it then. Why would I expect you to get it now? So
and anybody in the chat, can the chat chime in on this? I want to hear this guy's opinion over and over again.
Here's somebody in the chat. Here's somebody in the chat.
That's not what he was talking about.
Yes, he is.
He was talking about the Trick Williams part.
No.
That comment came up during the Trick Williams part.
And then he's saying that this was a commercial. Listen, they did.
Thank you, Dan.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not here debating the fact that it wasn't really good for Joe Hendry. They know they're going to sign Joe Hendry. They know that Joe Hendry is going to be a WWE guy sooner than later. So it was a win-win. Hey, we will get this gentleman on television. We can show him off because he's going to be one of us soon. And we have your company's championship on this show. And commentary is going to talk about TNA and do all these things. So when we send more people over there on your pay-per-views for Rebellion, how did Rebellion do on? I didn't check. But how did Rebellion do on pay-per-view buys? Was it the same that TNA normally has? Do we know if it did more? It was just on Sunday. We should have the pay-per-view buys by now. How did Rebellion do? Because if it outsold last year's Rebellion, did it fucking work then, Drew?
I would say yeah.
Okay.
But I have to know.
I don't either. And if it didn't, it didn't. But I'm just saying, again, there are so many people that watch WrestleMania that don't know anything outside of the WWE bubble. Don't know anything outside of the WWE bubble. They see a moment like that, and then maybe they see the guy hop on NXT. Then they see the NXT guy go over there on the pay-per-view and attack him, and then they're going back and forth. People can go, oh, I need to watch TNA now because NXT people are, I don't know. I have things to do on Thursday nights, so I can't watch TNA live because I have things to do on Thursday evenings, as you all should too. But it is what it is. I'm sorry. I'm just one of those people that I think it's a better thing for the TNA championship to be on WrestleMania. On WrestleMania and having the biggest show in WWE's calendar take 5 minutes out of their show to discuss total nonstop action wrestling. That is better than them not doing that, regardless of what happens in the match.
Yeah, it gets the name out there.
I don't know how that is a bad thing.
The name alone helps the business of TNA.
Okay, again,
it doesn't do anything for TNA.
But I just don't know how that's a bad thing. I don't know how that's a bad thing at all. Nobody can explain that to me. Why the people are saying that that's a bad thing.
The bad thing is that the champion isn't treated as prestigious on WWE television as it's treated in TNA.
Well, because he's their champion. He's their champion. What's he supposed to do? Come out
almost squashed by Randy Orton in 3 minutes.
First of all, again, see now wasn't an almost a squash. He got offense in. He got it was a 4-minute match. He got his moves in. Randy put him over before, during, and after the match. Did his fucking pose, for crying out loud.
Yeah, which again, that's great for Joe Hendry.
Yeah. I just don't understand that mindset. We've wasted 15 minutes of the show, but I just don't understand the mind. It's clueless to me. It's just a clueless mindset. It's crazy. So all the times that TNA, that AEW did things with AAA and Vikingo was on, again, now it's different years later, but all the times that AEW brought in these other federations with guys that was a bad thing.
No, that wasn't a bad thing at all.
It's the same shit.
Because a lot of the people who watch AEW also watch CMLL and watch New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Okay. So how do you get people to watch TNA? By having the TNA talent show up on the shows, especially WrestleMania.
Well, it's got to translate into people actually watching more. And then I say, okay, it did good for TNA. But if Rebellion's buys did the same or like 200 less more than last year's, and continuing from now, people aren't buying the subscription service to watch TNA.
Well, I mean that no, these
You know,
these
like
these
then you
prescriptions.
go, well, but you can't have that reaction though, because if people aren't watching TNA, how did it do good for TNA just to get their name mentioned?
I mean, I feel like them getting their name mentioned on WrestleMania is a big deal. Maybe I'm crazy.
It's
the biggest wrestling show of the year.
It's a big deal.
Their
to
world
just
champion
simply
was
get your name
walking
mentioned.
down the aisle with the belt and commentary talking about their federation and their championship. That is not. How is that
Okay,
a
so
negative?
what if Joe Hendry wasn't the champion?
And it was, again, it's still if Joe Hendry wasn't the champ, I don't know I don't know.
So what if it was Moose?
Would they have? I don't know if they would have picked Moose. I don't know. If it was Moose, it's, again, I'm not even talking about the individual. I'm talking about TNA having their world championship shown on WrestleMania. Yes, I agree, Dan. WrestleMania. This is not fucking Payback or Backlash. This is WrestleMania. And they had their championship shown on television at the biggest wrestling show of the year every year. I'm sorry, no matter what reasons you want to try to give me, that is not a negative. Period. I don't care if he would have lost in 30 seconds. It's not a negative. Why do advertisements advertise on WrestleMania if it doesn't matter?
People.
That was an advertisement for TNA, just like it's an advertisement for
Okay,
Snickers.
so if nobody buys a Snickers, if Snickers sales don't skyrocket,
it just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense.
Being an ad on WrestleMania,
it just doesn't make sense. You can't. I'm sorry. I will not accept the
also
argument.
You can't even compare an ad from WrestleMania of a company that's already making millions of dollars to TNA. That's not a comparison that you can make.
I know. And I'm going down the rabbit hole to annoy you because I just think this is such an annoying stance from people. As if TNA not having their championship belt on WrestleMania would have been better for the company than having their champion show up. What are we talking about? What are we talking about? What are we talking about?
No.
Do you know they get to show that footage of their TNA champion wrestling and walking down the aisle at WrestleMania for the history of their company?
For their niche of a niche wrestling audience.
I don't care about that at all. I don't care.
So you don't want the business to grow then. You don't care about the business growing. You just care about it getting shown at WrestleMania. That's it.
I just care about people that think that is somehow a negative. Like you. Makes no sense. Yeah,
I would have a real opinion on this.
I would have appreciated if he was just never there. If he was just never there. That was a lot better than him showing up. You know what I mean? It makes sense. So, you know, but who am I?
Let's get into what I think was the greatest match of everything that I've seen since the last time we did a show.
TLC.
That
was very good.
That was
very, very good.
Absolutely incredible.
Yeah. All 6 of those individuals did a real great job. Did a real great job in that match. When they announced it,
wincing at some points. Like,
yeah,
because they showed why. I mean, obviously they did this extra. I'm sure there was a little extra in this because they weren't on WrestleMania.
Yeah,
but just absolutely insane how this was, because they went and proved why they should have been on WrestleMania by putting on this match, because the spots that, I mean, just to get out of the way, the fan giving Montez Ford his prosthetic
Oh,
leg, that's just like one of the coolest things ever. That's a spot that's going to live on highlight reels for a long time, and I'm so happy that that got to happen. That was so funny. Um, and yeah, just the absolute the spear. Sandy just mentioned it in the chat. That spear was insane, and I thought that Dawkins was going to get injured from that. Thankfully, he didn't, because I mean there were so many spots in this match where you could have been like, "Okay, okay, yeah." Like, all right, guys, don't try and kill yourselves out there.
yeah, yeah.
But wow, what a match this was.
It was really good. It was really, really good. I thought it was fun. Um, it was a great main event. When they announced it, I was like, holy crap, a TLC match. It has been forever since I feel like we've had a TLC match. It was a great main event I thought SmackDown was pretty solid. I thought there was a lot of good storyline progression on SmackDown in general before we got to this main event. But yeah, no, they lived up the building. Once I kind of knew what they were doing, they were going after the Jeff Hardy spear spot with Edge and stuff like that. I kind of knew where they were going. You could see, and again, this is the same thing with Leon Slater. The balls to do these spots to me is more incredible to me. You could see that Dawkins was like, okay, like he knew he had to do it, and he was like, oh Jesus Christ, like he was like waiting for like the right moment. And I was like, don't be hesitant. If you're hesitant, you're gonna hurt yourself. Like you just got to do it. But it went well. It went really good. The match, it was just Sandy. I would have loved it. I felt like it could have been a 4-way, and they could have added Pretty Deadly, because they have been very much involved in this storyline as well with these three teams. But either way, I mean, I just thought that this was, I mean, one of the best main event TV matches WWE has put on this year. Makes me want to see more of this type of stuff. Obviously, with it being so few and far between is what made it feel special. But man almighty. And the Street Profits obviously retain. They defeat DIY and Motor City Machine Guns. But just a wild, wild match. If you haven't seen it, WWE on their YouTube has posted the whole match. So the whole match is available to watch on their YouTube. So if you missed it or you haven't seen it, go out of your way. Take the 20 minutes or 25 minutes out of your time to watch it, because holy moly, man. It was just one hell of a main event. And then,
Yeah. And then Dynamite had one hell of a main event as well. And
sure did.
I was
Sure did.
I can't say I was surprised, because I actually did want Hangman to win.
Oh, you didn't think he was gonna? I didn't think they were gonna do Fletcher and Ospreay again. Not right now.
Well, so something had happened earlier in the show where I thought, oh, okay, I think I know what's happening here. So, the Hurt Syndicate segment with MJF.
Yep.
That was a really, really good segment. Like that.
Sure was.
It's kind of funny because I can kind of see now that MJF is Miz. We're going to talk about.
CM Punk did say one time.
Yeah, he did.
That MJF is just a poor man's Miz.
I was looking at a picture of Miz, and so it's kind of getting him a little bit more baby-faced by the crowd, I want to say, which I don't know if that's the intention, but
for MJF,
I
don't think that'll be the end goal. I don't think he's going to be the
because like the crowds are doing the "He's our scumbag" thing again, and
they made a shirt.
All the things.
They made a "He's our scumbag" shirt. AEW.
Oh yeah, they had that shirt.
Yeah,
from when he was a babyface.
Oh, I thought they've been showing it on TV lately, so I thought maybe it was a new iteration or a new one.
Maybe they haven't. But I didn't see a new one. But So The story there is that MJF is trying to win over Bobby
Mhm.
with and Shelton, but he already won over Shelton with all the flashy things and the expensive stuff and the shiny jewelry and all the fancy stuff.
Mhm.
But Bobby isn't impressed by any of that stuff. He just wants to hurt people. And in order for MJF to show Bobby that he wants to be in the Hurt Syndicate, he has to show that he too wants to hurt people.
Mm.
So what I thought was going to happen was that MJF was going to cost Hangman the match.
No, I think MJF's going to prove to Bobby that he's going to hurt people by hurting Bobby.
That's possible.
I still think that MJF ends up aligned with FTR and costs the Hurt Syndicate the tag titles.
Oh
now
yeah,
that, now that Stokely is there, they have a history with the firm. Like MJF has a history with all three of those guys,
right?
With Stokely and FTR. Would make sense. You'd have the three wrestlers with each the manager. You could have Stokely and MVP kind of barbing, taking barbs at each other as like the voice of the groups and things like that.
Right.
And then you have Bobby and
it can have MVP wrestling all the time.
No,
but there's a certain someone who's going to be a free agent soon.
I'm not going to know. Cedric Alexander.
Yes.
Well,
and
so
that would be interesting.
I also think there's a possibility where it looks like Bobby is going to let MJF in. Our pal Jose on the air brought this up last night. He was like, I think there's a possibility where like it looks like Bobby's going to finally like go, okay, you proved it to me, you're going to be in, and then Cedric Alexander shows up and beats the shit out of MJF. And then it's like, oh, they do have a fourth member. It's not MJF though. It's Cedric Alexander, and then you have the original Hurt Business now as the Hurt Syndicate, and then MJF goes and finds his friends. And it's
that would
FTR.
Be a babyface thing, though, wouldn't it?
Well, the Hurt Business is babyface, though.
No, I mean, but
it depends on how they do it. Because what if that's the thing about this storyline to me, and which I'm loving it. I'm loving everything they're doing here with MJ. I have been very interested in this MJF Hurt Syndicate stuff. I don't really know who's because they're all the Hurt Syndicate is over as hell. People sing the song, they cheer when they come out. They're bad guys, but they're really not bad guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
But who is the bad guy here? Like in this story,
MJF to me is the bad guy.
But is he? Yeah, I get. Yeah. But I mean, is he though?
Because they're playing, you know what I mean? They're doing it interesting. Because like what they're doing is they haven't presented the Hurt Syndicate as babyfaces. They're just
I agree.
They're just a group of guys who like to hurt people. That's literally their gimmick. That's what they do. It's in their song. Everyone loves singing it, as do I. So it's a great song. And MJF isn't trying to, I feel, play a babyface or a heel either.
Yeah.
He's just MJF, the character, trying to get into the group of the Hurt Syndicate, who are also their characters. Like there's no like, but with MJF, it's more he sees them as a bad guy group, and that's why he wants to get in there.
Yeah,
but he is so entertaining that the segments are doing what I feel the Hangman, the Adam Cole and MJF segments 2 years ago were doing, which was babyface MJF. Like it feels like the interact, and then what's also helping that is that Bobby acts like a heel to MJF.
Well, that's and that's why I asked that question, because in my opinion, Bobby is the one that's being the heel because he's being a dick.
You could say that, yeah.
And like,
He's
even
stealing
and
his
don't get me wrong,
car.
MJF is a dick, so I do not feel bad that this is happening to MJF, because MJF's a prick. So good. Sometimes pricks deserve to be treated like pricks. You know what I mean? So like, I'm not upset that MJF is, but like, yeah, to me, Bobby is the one that, MJF, and he said it in the promo last night. He goes, what do you like? MJF is finally sticking up for himself a little bit when it comes to Bobby. He's not kissing his ass anymore. And he goes, I'm getting sick of your shit. And he's like, what exactly do you want? I gave you women. I gave you money. He goes, I helped you win matches. He goes, I gave you cars. Like, what do you actually want from me? And that's when Bobby, grabbed him. MJF called him a big, bald son of a bitch first. And then he said, well, you want some Rogaine and things like that. Johnny, I don't think you're wrong. I think that is a strong possibility for a big one-on-one match at Double or Nothing. I don't know if it will be for the membership. That would be, it could be something where, like, over the next couple weeks, MJF is like hurting people and it's still not impressing Bobby enough.
Right.
And MJF's like, go fuck yourself, bud. Like, go fuck I'm done here. Like, fuck you. I've been beaten up, And then Bobby goes, all right, you know how you're going to do it? You're going to fight me. And it's going to be you and me. You can try to hurt me. And you can prove to me at Double or Nothing that you can hang with the Hurt Syndicate. And then that's maybe when we see maybe a Cedric Alexander type thing, or it's a swerve, no pun intended, where we think MJF's going to get in, but somebody else actually gets in. Right. Or something like that. Or we just, there's a lot of ways they can go about it. It felt like last night was finally going to be the night, though, that Bobby said, okay. And they dragged it out again, and he had put the thumbs down again. And it was like,
I can't tell you if ever there were a time where a thumbs up, thumbs down segment has been as over as it is for like 3 straight weeks.
Yeah, they've done it 3 different times. They've done it 3 different times.
It's crazy.
Yeah. But I mean, I again, when we talked about it at length, I think that this eventually leads to, it's going to look like they're finally going to let MJF in. And MJF is going to screw over the Hurt Syndicate for the tag titles. And I think they're going to they'll help FTR get him. Because later on in Dynamite, we saw a video package with Stokely kind of narrating it about FTR. And it showed what they did, what they've been doing here, this vicious, savage side of FTR. And he said, he says, over a year ago, I said I was looking for a tag team. These guys are trying to rebuild their legacy. And I think they're, what they can do is like, it's going to be special. It's going to be stuff we've never seen before. And, they're coming for the AEW tag team championships. So you reiterate that FTR is coming for the tag team titles. And then you have one of their old pals at one point involved in a long-term storyline with those tag team champions. I feel like, sometimes the stories write themselves, Drew. And I feel like that's kind of where we are when it comes to MJF and the Hurt Syndicate, because I do feel like that's where we're going.
Cedric inclusion, you think?
I mean, obviously it would make sense. It would make sense if it was Cedric. He was part of the original group in WWE, the Hurt Business. It would be great if Cedric joined this. I feel like that would make it feels great that I feel like that would make it feel whole. Would it not?
I mean,
it would make it feel whole to me. It would be like, that's the Hurt Business. Like, that's who all 4 of them is who they are,
I like the current iteration. It's I don't feel like I need Cedric there right now. But the one thing, I have seen this be talked about before. We know, I don't know if they're married, Him and Big
Swole.
Swole, are they
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
Famously, there
Yeah.
was earlier in the AEW era,
Mhm.
there was some heat
Oh yeah.
with Big Swole and Tony Khan.
Mhm. It's a long time ago,
Um,
though. It was a long time ago.
so right, yeah, it's been like 4 years
Cooler head
now.
again. I don't know. We don't know. We're not these people, but cooler heads have prevailed in pro wrestling before. If if Bret Hart can go back to WWE, CM Punk can go back to WWE. Cooler heads have prevailed before in pro wrestling, where time heals all wounds, kind of thing. Again, don't know. I don't know anything. I'm not one of those
Yeah, I don't
guys.
either.
I'm just saying, this was a long time ago. We don't know where Cedric we don't know. So, but with that being said, I mean, I think it would be a good time. I think it would be a good time.
Yeah, dude,
If
I think
If Cedric
it would be
found his
great.
way over there. Yeah.
I'm not saying that I don't want him there, because if he is, I would absolutely love it for sure.
Yeah.
'Cause the
100%.
Hurt Business was legitimately like, it carried WWE during the pandemic.
On the men's side, yeah. I would say them and then Bailey and Sasha. Those were
Yes.
the two outfits that really ran the shows basically during the pandemic era. So yeah, it would be fun. It would be fun. All right, we're kind of bouncing around here. We're talking a little WWE. We're talking some AEW.
Well, let's do the rest of Dynamite, and then we can jump to Raw.
Yeah.
This match, this 8-man tag that started the show.
Yeah, half. They got some time. They got over half. That was like a 27-minute match. Yeah,
Incredible. Just
it was very good.
But I do think that the main event was better.
Well, it meant more. This match meant nothing. This 8-man tag meant nothing. It was just good. It was just a really fun, great, high flying, crazy ass match. You know what I mean? But it meant nothing. Nothing like okay. Well, we did find out that Kevin Knight and Speedball Mike Bailey are going to be a tag team called Jet Speed. So we did find that out.
Love that.
Yeah, I do too.
Love that.
I think that's so we found that out. So that's fun. And again, this match was incredible. They went right into the match, right into the entrances to open the show, and they got over a half hour of TV time, but I think the match was slightly over 26 minutes or so. Like, they got a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
And all 8 of these guys got their shit in. And at multiple segments in this match, all 8 of them individually looked incredible. Yeah. Like they all, and nobody, none of these 8 guys looked terrible, even in defeat either. Like, it was just a well put together match where every one of these guys shined individually and they shined as teams. And like Johnny just said, you got the Kenny and Okada tease in there a few times, but you got that tease kind of giving you a taste of what we're probably getting at All In, because I would assume, I don't know if it'll be the same 8 of these individuals or if they each add somebody on their side, but I assume when we get to Double or Nothing, some iteration of these teams will be facing each other in an Anarchy in the Arena type situation. I assume that's where we're going here, and then we'll start breaking away into our one-on-one feuds as we get to All In after Double or Nothing. But yeah, it's just a hell of an opening match. Like, really, really good. Just really good. Fun. Get the crowd.
The heels are going for the brain buster, and then the baby faces ended up doing it to the heels. Yeah, that was real
good. It was very good. It was very, very good.
I need to take like 5 seconds and
take some drugs.
Blow my nose, because just give me a second.
Yeah,
give me a second. I'll be right back.
Mute you. Okay, I was gonna say, if he didn't mute and we just heard all the imagine. Now that Drew's gone, he's so wrong about TNA. Just the dumbest shit. It's unbelievable, right? What a jerk.
No, I'm not.
What a jerk. It's unbelievable. How can you disrespect a pro wrestling company like that? It's unbelievable. Anyway, he's not listening. So while he's gone, no, that's not him. That's not him. While he's gone, we can talk about the ops. The Ops beat the shit out of 3 gentlemen. First of all, good to see Nick Comoroto. God, it's been a while, bro. But I think he was injured for a long time. But yeah, so
Yes,
the Ops squashed Rhett Titus, which good to see him too. Rhett Titus, Nick Comoroto, and Miles Hawkins. Powerhouse Hobbs gets the victory there, looking good. But it was really the post-match stuff that happened after that. Death Riders hit the ring. They attack, a hit and run. And Joe starts choking out Moxley again, man.
Yeah.
Joe starts choking out Moxley again. And then you see in the ring, they set up the upside down chair, and Claudio hits the come on. What's the move?
Concerto.
Come on.
Oh, no, not Concerto.
He hit the come on, the neutralizer. The neutralizer
right.
on the open chair like they did with Hook. And the Death Riders flurry. They get out of there. They scurry is what I meant to say. They get out of the ringside, and Joe is pissed. And Joe gets on the corner, and he's yelling at Moxley. He goes, you like to come out here and you act like you're a boss, but every time I come out here, you act like you're a little bitch. Okay, he's not wrong. And John says, Joe says, you want me one-on-one? I want you one-on-one. He goes, you always bring your goon squad with you. He goes, so how about this? How about we up the stakes a little bit? Beach break in a couple weeks, steel cage.
Yeah, that's.
And then we find out later in the evening that will be the case. And in 2 weeks in Chicago, AEW Dynamite Beach Break for the AEW Heavyweight Championship, Jon Moxley will now be facing Samoa Joe inside of a steel cage.
That's going to be violent.
Sure is. Sign me up, dude. Moxley and Joe in a cage. Yeah, all day. All day. So we got a little bit more stakes, a little bit more upping that main event at Beach Break. So that'll be a good thing. That'll be a fun time. Can I tell you? All right. Can we talk about the patriarchy for a little bit? Because I loved what we saw from the patriarchy last night.
I've been loving it for the past couple weeks.
Yes. I'm very intrigued to see where they go here. We get a backstage segment at first with Renee. How we doing, Zach? Welcome in, my friend.
Good morning.
Yeah, so the patriarchy's in the back. And they're immediately interrupted by Jay Lethal. Did not see that one coming. Didn't see Jay Lethal on the bingo card. But I thought this made sense with what they did here. So Jay Lethal shows up. Christian's like, can I help you? What are you doing here? Can I help you? And Jay Lethal's like, actually, I'm not here for you, man. He goes, I'm here to talk to the Ring of Honor TV champion. And he goes, me, I'm the longest reigning Ring of Honor TV champion of all time. And he goes, so I'm actually here to challenge, and I want to have a match with the youngest champion here ever for that Ring of Honor TV championship. And Nick Wayne is trying to dodge the match. He's saying, I'm not in my gear. I wasn't mentally, I haven't prepared to wrestle. He's trying to dodge it. And Christian just grabs the mic and he just goes, yeah, he accepts. And Jay Lethal goes, all right. And then Christian looks at Nick Wayne and he goes, you want to be a champion? You better act like one. So like Christian giving him like a fatherly lesson.
Yeah.
Which I liked. Then later on in the night, I'm going to be honest with you. This match was really good. I wasn't. I know Jay Lethal is a great in-ring wrestler, but like I don't have a reason to emotionally care about Jay Lethal on AEW television. He's not used a lot. Like, you know what I mean? Like I don't have an emotional investment in Jay Lethal. However, this match was really good with Nick Wayne and Jay Lethal. I thought it made sense because of the Ring of Honor TV championship tie-in with Lethal. And I thought it was a fine to very good first title defense for Nick Wayne to beat a credible guy. And Jay Lethal, he gets the win. Nick Wayne, he's off. He's going to be off to Japan here in a couple days for probably what we assume is a month or so with the best of the Super Juniors. I expect him to be near the end of that tournament, if not win the thing. I expect him to have a very good showing in that. So I thought that this was a good thing. You get Nick Wayne on television. He has a good competitive match. He retains his title, and now we're not going to see him for a little bit, probably.
Yeah.
But what happened after the match is Christian grabs the Ring of Honor TV title like we're all expecting Christian to do, is grab it and put it over his shoulder or put it around his waist like we've seen him do so many times before. But he doesn't do that. He puts it around Nick Wayne's waist and he straps it in on him. And him, Kip Sabian, and Mother Wayne all give Nick Wayne a round of applause. And they're all congratulating him on his victory. Christian's got that Christian smirk on his face. And he leaves. Mother Wayne leaves. And I thought Kip Sabian kind of kept this stare down a little long here, Drew. A little long. And Nick Wayne was kind of like, he wasn't like nervous or scared, but he was like kind of like creeping away into the corner, like looking like he was confused, like he didn't know what was happening.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
So what I'm loving about this whole thing is that Christian Cage is such a piece of shit. It's just he is manipulating this whole situation and gaslighting Nick Wayne into like, because he knows that Nick knows that it's coming at some point.
Yeah.
But he is toying with him every single week. Like he's being a fatherly. It's like, no. You like what he did last night. You're gonna take this match because you want to be a champion. You got to act like one. He's being very fatherly. He's being a role model. He's being the man to look up to and teach his son. But then he does the thing after the match where he takes the belt and it looks like, and Nick is like, oh, yep, here we go.
He's going to do the same thing that he always does. Yep, here it is.
Because he's seen him do it before with Luchasaurus. He's seen him do this. And Christian knows that Nick Wayne is smart and knows what the moves are when Christian doesn't like somebody. He takes their title. He berates them. He shoves them in the back. So Christian is making moves that look like he's doing the same thing to Nick Wayne. And then when Nick is expecting it to happen, he's doing the opposite.
Yep.
And it's masterful. I love it so much.
I'm very interested to see what they do here because obviously Nick Wayne is going to be gone for a little bit. So I wonder what they do. Like, does this mean that the whole patriarchy is going to be gone for a little bit? Or do we see Christian doing some shady shit here the next month with Nick not there? I'm interested to see where they go because, you know, we've been talking about this for a long time. We do think that this eventually leads to a split of this group, which is going to lead to an Adam Copeland, Christian Cage reuniting of some sort somewhere, you know? So for me, I'm just kind of like, where do they go? Like, was that like, okay, we did this segment to like, this is where we are. Now Nick's going to go away and you're not going to see us until he comes back. Or is Christian going to be pulling some strings on television here while Nick is away? So then when Nick comes back, things might not all be, I mean, Nick has eyes. He could watch the show, but you know what I mean? Like, you know, it is what I'm intrigued to see where they go with it because I really like what they're doing.
I would actually, I don't think we're going to see anybody on TV again.
Yeah, that's kind of the vibe that I get is that until Nick comes back, we might not see any of them.
But I would like to see Christian start treating Kip Sabian like Kip Sabian is his son.
Well, they do. But I think, yeah. And my thing is like where, you know, everyone's probably just going to assume that Mother Wayne is going to side with her kid, but I'm not really sure. Like I could see her siding with Christian because why wouldn't she? Why wouldn't she?
Yeah, there's the dynamic.
Is Nick Wayne going to be the baby face out of this? Like, are they building this that Nick Wayne is going to be the babyface star coming out of this, or is this eventually going to turn on Christian, and Christian is going to be the one? You know what I'm saying?
Well, we gotta get Copeland and Christian at some point.
Because that's what we're talking about. We're talking about
sooner than later, because I don't know if you saw the interview that Copeland did the other day.
No, I didn't.
Talking about like how after he wrestles, he can barely walk through.
Well, his leg almost had to get amputated. So, like, that leg injury off the cage was horrific. It obviously didn't have to almost get. I'm exaggerating, but you know what I mean. Like, for a guy his age to go through that leg injury, like, that's not, and like, he's had good matches since he's been back, but you can tell that he's significantly like a step slower since he broke his leg. You can tell. Still having he's still having good matches, but you can tell that, like, and again, I'm assuming they wouldn't have had him come back if he wasn't 100% healthy. Clearly, that would not be the proper thing to do.
Right.
I
would hope not.
Yeah, but you can tell that he is, and I don't know if it's in his own head. He's like, I don't want to fucking hurt myself. I don't know. But you can tell he's been, at least from like a moving standpoint, he was a step slower. Because before that leg injury, we were on here weekly talking about the shit he was doing in AEW before that cage match was some of the best stuff I was enjoying in his whole career.
Yeah.
The matches he was having and the things he was doing. And it's just a major injury. That it was out for a long time. I would assume that there's not much time left when it comes to Adam Copeland.
What they could do. So I would like to see Christian treat Kip Sabian nicely while Nick Wayne is away, and he should be gone for like a month, right? That's how long.
I feel like it's similar to the G1, so like a month or so, something like that.
There's between Collision and Dynamite, and then when Nick Wayne comes back,
yes,
it will be revealed that Nick and I'll say Kip, I guess, because Kip is the only other person, but unless Luchasaurus comes back,
could be possible.
I had heard not too long ago that he was actually getting better, but now I don't know if that means that he can wrestle again, or if his health is just getting better. Maybe he doesn't wrestle again. I don't know. But what would be an interesting story, I think, would be for Nick Wayne while he's gone to mastermind this plan that when he comes back, Christian is blindsided by Nick and Kip Sabian, who he's been taking a liking to, beating him up and kicking him out of the patriarchy. Yeah.
Listen, Nick Wayne's 19 years old, man. Right? Like this kid, we're going to be seeing Nick Wayne for a long time. All right. Me personally, I feel like right now I would vibe more with Nick Wayne being the heel leader of this.
Yeah.
I don't think, don't call it the patriarchy. Maybe
obviously,
anymore. Yeah. Although if you did, that would be ironically funny and I would love it. But I feel like I would vibe more with Nick being the cocky young gun that thinks he's got everything figured out, leader of the group, and he kicks out the old man.
Yeah.
And again, maybe I'm saying this because tomorrow I am officially an old man. But I'm 40, Drew. I'm a man. I'm 40. Anyway, but maybe that's why. But I'm feeling like
my husband and you are the same age, by the way.
Yeah, he's old. He's old. I respect him, but he's old. So
neither are you.
I know. Listen, I feel like I'm 60. So,
hell, I feel like I'm 60. Sometimes.
Not at heart. At heart, I feel like I'm a 25-year-old spry, ready to take on the world. But physically, put me out to old yeller me, someone, please. But I'm begging for it. But it is what it is. But I feel like that's what I would vibe with currently. I think I would like the young, cocky, dickhead Nick Wayne to kind of kick Christian out and be the leader of this group and then get his comeuppance at some point, more than
because
hey,
that's when we
let's
get Christian.
yes,
we get Christian
Edge,
and
then you
Cole.
get Kip, then you can do Nick Wayne and Kip versus Christian and Edge along the way to the eventual big time match against FTR, which I think will be the culmination of. Because when Copeland comes back, FTR is in the sights. They almost murdered the man.
Right.
So FTR is the end goal. So, yeah. All right, let's talk about the ladies, Drew, because the ladies had a good night last night on Dynamite, I thought. There's a backstage sit down with Renee and Mercedes, which I loved. Mercedes is talking about all her championships. She's talking about the Owen.
Had that table with all the championships laid out. Very nice looking.
Yep. So, and she mentions the Owen, and she goes, the Hart family mean a lot to me. She goes, but let's face it, this isn't about them. She goes, this isn't about them. Oh, I'm just sitting there going, yeah, the Owen Hart Foundation Tournament isn't about Owen Hart. It's not. No, definitely not. Definitely not about Owen Hart.
No.
But anyway, great line. And she goes, this is about me. It's about my legacy. And she says that she's not underestimating Jamie Hayter, while 1,000% underestimating Jamie Hayter. And it's just like, it's wonderful. She said, I'm not underestimating Jamie. She goes, but I've been here for over a year and I'm still undefeated. Haven't lost. She goes, I'm the best. I'm the greatest. She says that Hayter has a Scooby-Doo style.
That's relevant for me.
I assume that's a Velma. That's a Velma
yes.
reference there. And she says that if she wants to be a champion can't look like a cartoon. Okay.
And the woman with like colored hair and all the flashy, cartoonish looking outfits.
Hey, don't disrespect the CEO, Drew. Don't disrespect.
No. I'm not, but I love it. I don't hate it at all.
So a really good sit down with Mercedes, just kind of leaning into, she's 25-0 in singles competition, has not been defeated yet. Obviously is a 4-time champion around the world. Really good sit down with here. Then we had ourselves a AEW World Women's Championship Eliminator match. And boy, oh boy, let me tell you, I thought that AEW, all right, it's Yamashita. It's like Takeshita. You don't say Takeshita. It's not Yamashita. It's Yamashita. Like Takeshita.
Yeah.
Yamashita. That's how, because I'm so afraid that I butcher some of these names. It's Miyu Yamashita. I think I said that right. I thought AEW knocked it out of the park showcasing this woman last night. She
is really good.
Okay. Really good. So she has an eliminator match with Toni Storm. They did a video package about Yamashita before this match, which I thought was tremendous. It showed her stuff in Japan. It highlighted that she is one of only 3 women in history of AEW to actually win an eliminator match before. Because she beat Thunder Rosa in one.
Thunder Rosa, yeah.
When Thunder Rosa was the champion. And then they had this match, Drew. And these 2 women beat the shit out of each other. This match was for me. Let's get in there and let's just wall up each other. Let's be stiff. Let's just beat the crap out of each other. They had a really, really good match. And
Toni Storm is not just a wrestling character.
No,
she's a wrestler,
and I feel like I feel like this title reign so far, this has been that kind of title reign for Toni. Where they're going, you're going to go out there and you're just going to have banger matches. Like we're going to, obviously you are this next level character that'll be remembered forever. But like, I think people, not people that have watched Toni Storm for a long time, but I think when you have a character like this, when it comes to pro wrestling, a lot of times fans can look at it in a vacuum and they could say, oh, she's just the character. It's just the character. She's just a great, but it's like, no. Toni Storm was and always has been one of the best wrestlers in the world as well. She just has this ridiculous all-time character on top. Like she is the total package.
Yeah, she is. You're right.
And I feel like this title reign so far has really, I don't think they're purposefully doing it. Maybe they are. But I feel like this title reign is really getting people to remember that second half of it again. Like, oh, no, she's also very good. A very good wrestler who can beat the shit out of people. Like, she's tough. Like, she can beat the crap out of people. This was a great match. They were back and forth, real stiff. The Storm Zero that Tony Storm hit on Yamashita to end it, that was one of the better Storm Zeros I've ever seen. It was almost like a vertical Storm Zero. It wasn't that like kind of quick little boom. It was like she had to like really emphasize it and like spike her to win this match. I thought this match was great. Tony Storm remains undefeated as a world champion in these eliminator matches. I think she's 14 or 15-0 in them now. And I thought even in defeat, I thought that if Yamashita is going to be hanging around and she's in AEW now, or she's going to be more of a focal point in the women's division moving forward, even in defeat, Drew, I thought last night they did her wonders by presenting her that way. Because even in defeat, she looked strong as hell in that match. She looked strong as hell.
Nobody can
very
say
good.
That they don't know her now.
Very good. I very much enjoyed that match a lot. And then after the match, we saw Mercedes come out. She grabs the mic. She says, yeah, congratulations, whatever. She goes, I'm going to win the Owen at Double or Nothing, and then I'm coming for your AEW World Championship. And then we hear Jamie Hayter's music. And Jamie Hayter makes her way on the stage. They start fighting a little bit. Jamie lays her out with a right hand, and then Mercedes starts running away and running up the ramp. And then Jamie Hayter and Tony Storm have a nice little stare down for a minute. Tony Storm kind of gives her like the, hey, good to see you, pal, kind of thing. And then Tony Storm gets on the mat and convulses for like 30 seconds and does her Tony Storm stuff. And I laughed, and that's how it went. That's how it went, Drew. Loved it.
Love her so much.
Loved it. And we talked about it last week, Drew. The longer this goes, man, they made it a point in that sit down and on commentary multiple times tonight to talk about how Mercedes is undefeated in solo competition. Jamie Hayter's winning this tournament, Drew.
Thank you.
Jamie Hayter's winning this tournament, man.
Winning. She is winning because this is where I think I said it last week. This is where you can have Mercedes take her first loss and not have it affect her.
Correct. And we talked about it last week because look at, you know how I feel about Mercedes. You know, everyone knows how I feel about Mercedes. She rules. Love her. Boston through and through. We represent. Love her. Mercedes versus Tony Storm is a giant match. It is a giant match that we haven't seen that we all want. I understand that. But we talked about it last week. If Jamie Hayter wins this tournament at All In, you don't just get one giant match. You get two. Because you got Jamie Hayter versus Tony Storm for the world title, and the history that they have and the story you can tell with their history, that is a giant match. And then on the flip side, then you also get Mercedes and Athena again for the TBS title. In Texas, Athena's home state. You end up getting two giant matches in your women's division instead of just one.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that is where we should be going here. And you said it perfectly. Mercedes can lose in the finals of the Owen. And yeah, it's her first loss. I get that. That's the blemish. It's her first loss. Doesn't lose any of her championships. Doesn't change really anything from a storyline perspective when it comes to Mercedes, because it's just the finals of a tournament. Not just, you know what I mean? I don't mean that like that. But like, it's a perfect opportunity for her to lose because it really doesn't affect her that much. It really doesn't. Besides the fact that she won't be fighting for the world title at All In.
It doesn't tie up the TBS championship for a month and a half because it's just going for the world championship.
Correct.
They should be separate from each other.
Correct. And I just feel like that's the way that this should go. Whether Athena gets involved at Double or Nothing, I don't know. Do they just have a straight up match and Jamie just beats her? Fine. Does Athena get involved and distract Mercedes? And that's how, I don't know. But we started talking about it the last couple weeks. Last week, we spent a lot of time on it. And the fact that tonight they're starting to mention more often how she's undefeated and she hasn't lost in singles competition. I'm just sitting here going, you know, where did Jamie Hayter, you know, when Toni Storm beat Jamie Hayter for the world title the first time, where was that at? That was an All In.
Good morning, Scott.
How we doing, Scott? That was at All In, wasn't it? 2 years ago. Then Jamie Hayter was out injured for a really, really, really long time.
Yep.
And when Jamie Hayter made her return, even though it was on the pre-show, when Jamie Hayter made her return, where did she make her return? At All In. Well, guess what? Wouldn't it make sense if at All In, Jamie Hayter was going for the world title again against Toni Storm, the woman who beat her for the world title at the same event 2 years prior? It makes sense. They have a history. Jamie Hayter was beat up in that match. She wasn't 100%. It wasn't as great a match as it could have been because of that. And that wasn't even timeless Toni Storm. That was in like chaotic descent Toni Storm that led us to timeless Toni Storm.
Yeah.
There is a lot of story you can lean into when it comes to Jamie Hayter and Toni Storm, and I think that's the route you do it. I think you have Jamie Hayter upset Mercedes, win this tournament, and then you got Jamie and Toni, and then you can run it back, Athena and Mercedes. Athena is from Dallas, so they're basically right there, basically right outside Arlington. So it's not even a home state. It is a home state, but it's almost like a hometown match for Athena, which also makes sense. Because the first time that we got the Athena-Mercedes match, where was it? It was in Boston, Mercedes' hometown.
Right.
Now you have it in Athena's hometown. It just makes so much sense that sometimes
Tony Khan, I hope you're listening, because if you're not doing it this way,
it's just the way it goes, man.
It makes the most sense in the world.
Yep. But I thought that was a good night. I thought a lot of cool stuff is happening. I like the intertwining of things, and I just have to say in general, because we're going to start talking about the main event here. Without question, this has been the best Owen Hart tournaments on both sides that we have seen.
Oh yeah, agreed.
Easily. And we have 2 finals at Double or Nothing that are going to be. They should be just really, really special stuff. Because the main event, which we slightly talked about, but the main event of the evening was Hangman Adam Page against Kyle Fletcher. And the winner would be going to Double or Nothing to face Will Ospreay. And boy, oh boy, did these two have a good one. I will say, I was cringing the whole match at Kyle Fletcher's back.
Oh my God, yes. Ooh.
I don't know. That must have stung.
I don't. That must have been when he flipped over the barricade.
He did like a
I'm
flip
guessing
into
is when
the
that happened.
barricade, and I think it just ripped a part of his back off. The way he hit. Oh, that was gross. How did that not? How is he? Now I'm sure it's adrenaline. And he probably didn't even feel it until after the match when he got to the back. But the whole time, every time they showed his back, I was just sitting there going, "That must sting. That must sting so much." Like, how is he not? I'd be crying.
Yeah.
I would have had to tell the ref, "We got to stop the match. You got to stop the match." He would have been like, "What? You got something? I need stitches. My back just ripped off. My back is hanging off that. You see that piece of thing? That's my back. That's my back." Oh, that looked like it fucking killed.
Oh man, it looked awful.
And they showed it so often because it was.
I know.
How can you not? And I'm just sitting there going, "Hey, that chunk of his back is gone. If I was in that front row, I would have tried to take it. But you know what I'm saying? Put it in a baggie or something. You can sell it on eBay. People will pay $1,000 for that shit. People are fucking weird, bro. Look, you laugh.
I'm really just like wincing right now.
You laugh. People are fucking weird, bro.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
For fetishes and things.
Somebody bought a piece of bread that looked like Jesus Christ for like thousands of dollars, Drew. All right? You can sell anything. You can sell
religious
anything.
People are weird.
You can sell it. Just tremendous. And Scott, you're right. Kyle is a stud. He's a stud.
I mean that part of the back,
Oh,
it's not far. It's not far from where a lot of people are looking. So it's
that was so gnarly looking. And I was like, oh, I'm just sitting there going, you ever get rug burn?
oh
You
yeah,
ever get,
I've gotten that before.
yeah. And it stings like the Dickens. Just stings. It's the worst for days. For days. That's not who we're talking about, David. Pay attention. For days. And he wrestled for 20 minutes.
Yeah, after that,
Like hot, like and not just like not rest holds or anything like that. Like he wrestled a high
I mean,
caliber,
his
like
that part of his back
it was
hit
hitting
the
the mat repeatedly.
a lot.
Repeatedly. Oh, go. Yeah, that Jesus Peter was the best. Exactly. See, so Sunday Sinner would have been the guy that if I just would have, I would have been sanitary. I would have grabbed a napkin or something. I wouldn't have just grabbed it, but I would have been like, oh, that's Kyle Fletcher's back. And I would have put it in a baggie and people would have bought it. They would have bought it 100%. But anyway, I digress. Drew, I don't even know where to be. Okay. So, at one point, Hangman takes a brain buster on the apron, which was just a gnarly looking move. That brain buster to him on the move. They're on the outside. They're fighting on the barricade. And Hangman does this move where he hits a moonsault. And then he hits a moonsault. And in one motion, he then catches Fletcher in the moonsault and lifts him up into a tombstone pile driver on the outside. Which was just a ridiculously cool looking move by Hangman. At one point, he gets him in the inside. He does a dead eye. Fletcher kicks out. There was a Liger bomb on Hangman. He kicks out. There was another brain buster on O'Connor roll. They're going back and forth. Hangman hits a moonsault to the outside that we're so often to him hitting. He rolls Fletcher in the ring. He looks like he's going to hit the buckshot. And Fletcher moves the ref out of the way. And he hits him right in the penis with a very strong kick, which leads to another big-time brain buster by Kyle Fletcher. And I was like, holy crap, are they actually going to do this?
Yeah,
and we're
I
getting
thought it was
Fletcher and
over.
Ospreay again? But Hangman kicks out at 2.999999. Then Hangman goes up to the corner. Fletcher meets him up there. Hangman is hitting repeated lariats as they're both perched on the corner. Fletcher gets knocked off the corner, and then Hangman hits a buckshot lariat from the corner. And then
I've never seen that before.
Yeah, I have not seen him do that before. Maybe he had. I've never seen that before. At least I was like, that was cool looking. So he hits a buckshot flip lariat off the corner, and then he runs out to the apron.
Yeah,
hits a proper buckshot lariat for the 1, 2, 3. And Hangman Adam Page is heading to the finals of the Owen Hart Foundation Tournament. It will be him and William Ospreay in a one-on-one. And let me tell you, Ospreay and Hangman, that is going to be a doozy. That is going to be a doozy.
There are matches where you can't predict the winner.
Ooh.
I genuinely don't know.
I want that to open the show. I want that to open Double or Nothing. Just give it to me. Don't fuck around. I don't need to wait 3.5 hours. Give it to me. All right? Right, Tony, I know you're watching. I love you, buddy. Don't make me wait. Do not make me wait. Do your pyro. Welcome everybody to Double or Nothing. Will Ospreay's music. That's what I want. Don't fuck around. Don't fuck around. Please.
Legitimately don't know who's going to win that match, because a lot of people would say Will Ospreay, but I don't know. I don't know if right now.
Yep.
Who do you think this looks better as? The guy who fights their way to defeat Jon Moxley and get that title back and hold it up over their shoulders at the main event of All In of these two guys, which one does it look right that it's them?
Well, listen, I think this is where the discussion's a little deep. I have always said that I think Adam Hangman Page is the main character of AEW. He's the main character. And Johnny just said it. So for me, I think when both these tournaments came out, we looked at the brackets and a lot of us just went, oh, Mercedes and Ospreay. That's it. That's Mercedes and Ospreay. That's what we're doing. And I feel like we were just all there mentally. We looked at both these brackets on both sides and we said, oh, okay, yeah. It's going to be Ospreay. It's going to be Mercedes. And now we're here and we're at the finals and those two people are in their respective finals. And now we're here and we're all like, is it? Is it going to be Will and Mercedes? Because I know I'm not picking Mercedes anymore. We just talked about it. I'm not picking Mercedes anymore on the women's side. Here, I think I'm still leaning Ospreay. Because I feel like if it's Hangman, it should be against Swerve. And I'm just always going to feel that way. I'm always going to feel that way.
I did feel that way up until recently.
And that's fair because they've been teasing kind of how, Hangman might be like thinking about his old ways and like, kind of becoming a good guy. Like they've been teasing it and, not helping each other, but things like that. I agree with Johnny. I am personally ready for Hangman to be the champion again. That is what I want. I think most AEW fans, and I think we run into a situation here too, because Will Ospreay has been presented in AEW as like a cookie cutter good guy for the most part, right? I know he was with the Callis family when he first came around and they were bad guys, but he wasn't really he's been presented as I'm the best wrestler in the world. I'm a good guy. Root for me. I'm here to save you. Not save, but I'm here to be the best in AEW. Like he's that guy, which works. I'm afraid that at Double or Nothing, if Will Ospreay beats Hangman Adam Page, not everybody in the crowd is going to be jiving with that. I feel like
actually, you want to know what my real feeling?
I feel like we're at a point now where most of us, if not all of us, want Hangman Adam Page to win. But I think Scott's right. I think at All In, we're getting Swerve and Hangman teaming up against the Young Bucks. I think that's what we're going to get. I think that's the match at All In because it's going to be Ospreay. And I feel like that's where we're going. The Young Bucks screwed Swerve. They're playing that they did it for Hangman. They didn't. We all know they didn't. Hangman knows they didn't.
Yeah.
I think that is where we're going to. But I think the majority of the AEW fans are going to want Hangman to win this match. Even though we don't dislike Will Ospreay. We all like Will Ospreay. I do think that everybody's going to be pulling for Hangman here.
My genuine concern about this is that, and I hate
Ospreay is going to become a heel out of this because he's going to be not getting cheered in that match.
Well, not even just about Double or Nothing, but about All In too.
No, don't say it. Don't say it.
I have a really terrible feeling that if Will Ospreay wins this match.
No, they're not going to do that to Will. If Will is fighting for the world title, Will's winning the world title. They're not going to have Will lose. Yeah, because he's already lost once. He's already fought for the world title before against Swerve, and he lost. No, they're not going to do it. Now, again, trust me, what we've seen, I understand. But no. This whole thing is built for this moment with Will Ospreay being the one that dethrones, and he's the new face of AEW. He's been built this way for the year and a half or the little over a year he's been there.
I hope so, because I honestly, I feel like if it's Hangman, I can see a way here where the Young Bucks are going to try and get involved to help Moxley and the Death Riders. Yeah. but Swerve is the one to be the knight in shining armor.
Yeah.
And do what Hangman couldn't do at Revolution.
Maybe.
Or Dynasty, rather. Sorry.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I think for the story between all of these men, I think that's what makes the most sense. Because Swerve was the one who acknowledged I was wrong to do what I did, and it led to you becoming this person.
Mm-hmm.
And the redemption, I think, is Swerve helping Hangman win the AEW title.
Potentially. I don't know. I feel like the massive match that we're going to get it All In. Spencer, good morning, friend.
Good morning.
Welcome into the chat. Yeah, I don't know. Again, I'm going to be rooting for Hangman. He's my dude. I love Hangman. I'm going to be rooting for him. I just feel like the plan has kind of always been Will Ospreay as the next guy. And I feel like All In is their biggest event of the year. I feel like it's kind of the crowning of Will Ospreay. And I feel like it's going to go that way. I felt that way, even though it is Hangman and I love him. I do think that there is going to be some chicanery involved in that match. Because I do agree with Scott that I do think the big match at All In is it's going to be the Young Bucks versus Swerve and Hangman teaming up. And I think that's going to be the big story, is Swerve and Hangman are teaming up together to take out the Young Bucks. An enemy of my enemy is my friend, Drew. An enemy of my enemy is my friend. And right now, or at least if the Bucks do get involved and somehow cost Hangman that match, Swerve and Hangman will have a common enemy, regardless of their history. And
yeah,
I feel
true.
So I do feel like that is probably where we're going. And then what happens after that is whatever happens after that. But I feel like that's probably where we're heading. But we still have like almost a month before we're at Double or Nothing. So we have a little bit of time for this to kind of iron out a little bit as we are ramping up to Double or Nothing. And then we'll be on our sprint to All In. But, you know, a lot of good stuff happening in AEW. They're on a good run right now. They're having good shows. The storylines are good. There's multiple ways that multiple storylines can go. And that's what you want. That's what you want out of your wrestling. So I think AEW is kind of on a really good run at the moment as it goes. You know, Double or Nothing. I know All In is like their WrestleMania now. Double or Nothing was their WrestleMania until All In came around.
True.
And it's their 5-year anniversary. It's their 5-year anniversary as well. They just hit the 5-year.
Johnny.
Yes, Johnny. That's what
don't fool yourself. Look,
yeah, don't fool yourself. It's going to be the first one. It's going to be Ospreay and Mox. It will be.
It's not going to be Ospreay, Joe.
Yes. So if we're looking at
that would be legitimately one of the most. I would lose every cent that I own because I would bet for absolutely no money on Joe winning that match.
Yeah. I think if you're looking at All In early right now, I think the matches you have lined up, you have Ospreay versus Mox for the title. You have Mercedes versus Athena for the TBS title. You have Toni Storm and Jamie Hayter for the Women's World title. You have Hangman and Swerve versus the Bucks as a massive tag team match. You have FTR versus Edge and Christian as another massive tag match. And then you just kind of build from there. But I think that right there is 5 matches that you can sell that pay-per-view on. Big time. And I think that's kind of the bait. That's what, that's where I would be heading. And then you can kind of create the rest of your card built off of that. But we'll see. We got some time. We have to get through Double or Nothing. We have a month until then. We got a couple months until All In. But there's a lot of ways that they can go here. And I'm excited to see where they go.
Speaking of the enemy of my enemy is my friend, how about the friend of my enemy is my enemy?
Are we talking WWE now?
Yes.
Before we get into that, though, well, actually, no. Go ahead. Are we talking about what are we talking about here?
Becky.
You want to start with Becky? First of
Yeah.
all, can I just say, I have been waiting for this promo from Lyra Valkyria. I've been waiting for it since she's been up on the main roster. I enjoyed this whole segment, and
This was my favorite thing on the show.
I thought Raw was great. It was a great episode of Raw. I loved this promo from Lyra Valkyria. I thought the whole thing was great. I thought Becky was great. I love Becky being angry, like angry Becky yelling. Oh, I loved Becky in it. And I had been waiting. I had been waiting for some sort of thing from Lyra. We have been sitting here for weeks, Drew, saying Lyra Valkyria is so good in the ring. She's an excellent wrestler. She's this, she's that, but I don't know who she is. I don't know who she is besides the fact that she's a bird. And I thought that this, what? I thought
It's just,
she's a bird.
I know. It's just funny because of the way you said it.
I thought that this promo on Monday, now it's just the start. But I thought this promo on Monday, this whole segment kicked ass. I loved this segment with Becky Lynch and Lyra Valkyria. And we found out what we said. We found out that Becky did attack Bayley. And it was Becky who took Bayley out to get herself in this scenario to win championships. And then they won the championship, which she says they wouldn't have won the championship if it was Bayley, which she's 1,000% correct.
That's a fact.
1,000% correct. Would not have won if it was Bayley and Lyra. But once Becky was in there, yeah. And then she said, and then Lyra blew it. And she had to put Lyra in her place. And then I just loved Becky here. She mocks Bayley about whining, about not being a bigger star, kind of poking in the real life stuff. Yeah. We had the clips of the Chris Van Vliet interview with Bayley and all this stuff. And Becky leans into that, which I thought was great. And she goes, yeah, you always whine about not being a bigger star, but she goes, but she goes, I gave you a front row seat to see what an actual bigger star looks like when I walk down the aisle at WrestleMania. And I was like, okay, Becky. All right, Becky. And then she goes, and she says the line that you just said. She goes, now let's talk about Lyra. She goes, the enemy of your enemy is your friend. She goes, that works in reverse too. The friend of your enemy is your enemy. She goes, I tried to save her, tried to get her to ditch that bitch. That's what she said. She goes, and she wouldn't have won the tag titles, but she was already compromised. She was already a loser. And Lyra comes out.
And Lyra hit the way, tremendous. Like what you're saying, this was my favorite thing on the show. Like I've been into her since she won this title.
Oh yeah.
And
tremendous in-ring wrestler, like tremendous in-ring wrestler. Tremendous.
I didn't even really know about her or particularly care about her that much. And then she won this title. And she's been on TV more. And I'm like, you know what? There's something here. I'm into this. And then last Monday happened. And holy shit.
Yeah. I mean, Lyra comes out. She says that, she got caught up in this fairy tale dream about winning the Irish tag titles at WrestleMania with Becky. And she goes, I don't know why it took manhandle slam after manhandle slam, but I finally see it now. And I know exactly who you are, Becky. The illusion of Becky Lynch. She says, she's going to make her pay for what she did to her and Bayley. She gets in the ring and Becky kind of bails out of the ring. Lyra's taunting her. She goes, are you thinking about the time I beat you for the NXT championship last time we fought one-on-one?
And this whole time,
Great.
time that she is fucking ripping into her, Becky's on the outside, just like slowly walking around pacing around the
pissed.
ring. And just like angry. Keep going. I want to hear more.
Becky says that from now on, she only fights when it matters, and it does not matter in Kansas City. So Becky's spitting facts because, Kansas City. So Valkyria says, Lyra goes, I should have seen that coming. She goes, fine then. She goes, how about Backlash? She goes, how about Backlash? You and me for the IC title. And then Becky goes, oh, yeah, you want me to welcome you to the big time, huh? Yeah. And Lyra cuts her off. Lyra interrupts Becky.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes, I've made myself matter. She goes, I'm not interested in being the next Becky Lynch. She goes, I'm going to be a better person. And she goes, so the line she said, she goes, I'm not interested in being the next Becky Lynch. I'm interested in being the first Lyra Valkyria. She goes, I'm a better person than you, and I already know I'm a better wrestler than you. Ooh, because she is. She very much is.
Ooh.
And she says that, and Becky starts losing it, and she starts screaming at Lyra. She's pissed. And then Becky looks like she's going to get in the ring and start fighting. Like that was the straw that broke the camel's back. But Lyra hits her with kind of a drop kick through the ropes. And then she looks like they're going to brawl a little bit, but Becky bails and she runs through the crowd. And Lyra stands on top of the announce table with the belt up high. And the crowd was really behind Lyra here.
Yeah, they started butt chanting her in the beginning.
Yep.
Like morons.
Yep.
And then
but she won them over. She won them over. Where the fuck was this? Where was this with Lyra for the last 4 months? Don't get me wrong. Better late than never. Better late than never. And maybe Becky Lynch was the right person for this to finally come out of Lyra. But holy shit, man. I had been waiting for, like I said, this from Lyra. I was almost emotional watching this, Drew. Truly, I don't really get that emotional when it comes to the rest. I was like, oh, thank God. I was like, this is what I'm fucking talking about here. This is what I'm talking about.
I couldn't believe this because of what, like I said, how I felt about Lyra Valkyria a very short time ago versus how I feel now. Very different feelings. Very different. And very good feelings.
Yeah.
I did not have her really on my radar that much. And this segment where Becky was the master of this segment because unlike her husband, she actually wants to get booed as a heel, and she made a tried and true babyface in Lyra Valkyria in the segment.
And they're not even done with making Lyra Valkyria because you know what's going to happen. Becky Lynch is beating Lyra Valkyria at Backlash for that IC title.
Yes.
She's beating her, and Bayley will come back, and we are going to have a massive Bayley and Becky Intercontinental Championship feud, and Becky will win that feud, and then eventually Lyra's going to win that belt back from Becky. And when Lyra wins that belt back from Becky, she is going to be a made woman, like Becky made her in NXT.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to do the same fucking thing with Lyra that they did down there, up here, just with the IC title. And I think now, again, I would have liked to have seen more from Lyra from a character perspective since she's won the belt, because she's had the belt for, 3.5, almost 4 months now. However, what we saw on Monday, I think, is the true start, where by the end of summer, Lyra Valkyria is going to be a big deal. She's going to be a big deal. And this is what I'm talking. When you have veterans like Bayley and like Becky Lynch, this is how you use your veterans. Because not only are they going to elevate the Women's Intercontinental Championship to matter, because Bayley and Becky are going to be fighting for it, they are going to make a future star for this company in Lyra Valkyria along the way.
Yes.
And that is what it's about. That is what it's about. I
wasn't going to bring it up, but Sandy does have a point here.
I'm not getting into comparing people like that. I don't think that's a proper way to look at wrestling. So it is what it is, but tremendous stuff. Tremendous.
So
stuff.
you accused me of thinking the same way about Becky when Becky came back. About how I'd felt with Charlotte winning the Rumble.
Yeah, you were negative. You were negative at first when Becky came back.
I was, because it didn't fit the story for me. Because and I was
let it play out, Drew. Let it play out.
The way that they did Bayley, and I still do think the way they did Bayley,
she was done dirty.
Was done dirty, absolutely.
100%. I'm not disagreeing there. However, I do think, and again, Bayley deserved better. She's my GOAT. Bayley deserved better. But I do think there are situations where good things come out of bad things. And I thought on Monday night, I am very optimistic about where this is going now.
Because, because here's the thing. The segment on Monday actually made me go, okay, what they did at WrestleMania made sense. Mm-hmm. Even though it did Bayley dirty.
Yep.
It made sense.
Yeah. I could see Becky at Backlash. I could see Becky winning that title and then maybe beating up Lyra after the match and just being a bully. And that's when Bayley's music hits. She comes out, saves the day. And then oh shit, maybe all summer through SummerSlam, we have Bayley and Becky. Which I feel like, obviously, I know we've seen that match before, but I feel like we really haven't seen a proper long-term feud. Maybe I'm just misremembering. But I feel like we haven't really seen Bayley and Becky in like a long-term feud. Have we?
I can't remember there being one, honestly, but I'm sure that there had to have.
They've obviously had to have fought. They've been, but like, I just, in my brain, I'm like, I can't remember like a long-term
and definitely never with Becky as the heel and Bayley as the
babyface. At least that. Maybe on SmackDown when Bayley first turned. I don't remember, but like, yeah, man. Oh, I loved it. All right. Let's talk about what happened at the beginning of the show, shall we? Then also the end. We can kind of wrap this up into a ball here. Obviously, we saw at the end of Raw last week a new group formed with Paul Heyman, Seth Rollins, and Braun Breaker. And they start the show. First and foremost, before the show even started, we find out that Nick Aldis is there, filling in as the general manager of the evening, as Adam Pearce is off for the evening. Okay. So we have all three of those gentlemen enter the ring. Everyone's singing the song for Seth. He welcomes them. He welcomes everybody to Monday Night Rollins. He makes references to CM Punk and Roman Reigns. He goes, but I'm here and I'm the future of the industry. He runs down like a long list of people who the future is not. And he says, with Heyman to his left and Braun to my right, the future of the industry runs through me. And then we hear Sami Zayn's music. Sami comes out. Seth goes, hey, did you watch WrestleMania? Did you watch WrestleMania? Sami goes, yeah. He goes, it was pretty good. It was very good. I believe I saw on the internet that Seth's jacket cost $14,000.
Whoa.
Yep.
I did not know that.
Yep. I thought I saw that. So, they're talking about how they've been friends for a long time. Seth says that Zayn felt the need to come out here and tell him face to face. I'm sorry, no. Sami tells Seth, hey, we have been friends for a long time. And I felt the need to come out here and tell you to your face that this is all a load of crap. He says, he goes, how much time have you spent talking about Punk and Reigns? And then the one thing those guys had in common is standing right there over your shoulder. And he points to Paul Heyman. He says, how are you different than CM Punk? He goes, how are you different than Roman now that guy is with you? He goes, maybe your hatred for Punk was just jealousy and you wanted to be in his position. Maybe it was that. And then Seth goes, hey, I'm not CM Punk. I'm not Roman Reigns. He goes, this is my vision for the future. And then Sammy says, well, what a coincidence. And then Seth says, we've talked about it. We've talked about our visions for the future before, you and I being friends for a long time. And Sammy goes, yeah. He goes, what a coincidence that the vision revolves around you. What a coincidence. Crazy how that works, huh? He goes, and then Seth goes, I'm the best man for the job. Sammy calls him a hypocrite. He goes, this is just the bloodline, dude. This is just the bloodline. This is all this is. It's just the bloodline. He goes, you got your wise man and you got your little dog. And Braun Breaker at that moment, I loved Braun Breaker here because at that moment, Braun Breaker just started staring at Sami Zayn. And he did not stop staring at Sami Zayn until this whole segment was over. And Seth had to literally pull, he was just eyeing Sami Zayn the whole, no change in facial expression, nothing. It was amazing. Then Sammy kind of goes to Braun and he goes, if you keep looking at me, you're going to get your face kicked in. And Seth's like, everybody calm down, dude. So they start talking, and then Seth gives Sammy an ultimatum. He goes, here's the thing. He goes, I like you, Sammy. We've been friends for a long time. I don't want anything bad to happen to you. He goes, so I've talked to some people. I got my wise man. We'll take care of things. He goes, join us. He goes, join us. He goes, or if you don't want to, that's fine. He goes, we'll work a trade. You can go to SmackDown because I don't want you around here because I don't want anything bad to happen to you. I don't want anything bad to happen to you.
How nice of him.
Yeah. He goes, so you can join us. You can join. Yeah, exactly, Sandy. Are you with us or you're against us? You can join us, join the future with you and me, friends at my side. And if you don't want to, you want to do your own thing, that's fine. But we'll trade you over to SmackDown because I don't want you around. I don't want you to, Sammy's like, nah, and Seth is like, this is not a threat. It's not coming from that. I love you. This is not that. And Sammy thinks about it. He goes, but we're going to need an answer by the end of the night. We're going to need an answer by the end of the night. And that's how this segment basically ends, with Braun Breaker looking like he wants to kill Sami Zayn. So then there's a little bit later. Let me get to my notes because it's a little further down here. Where are you? Okay. Sami Zayn is in the back, and Paul Heyman comes and sits down next to Sami Zayn. And he goes, I was thinking about what you said there, out there. He goes, look at you and me. We're OG bloodline, dude. Paul's like, we're OG bloodline. Like, we go way back, and then Sammy goes, yeah, you kind of blew up that, huh, Paul? Kind of blew all that up. That's not happening, huh? Well, I don't think that's happening anymore. And Paul says, hey, look, I always respected your reasons for leaving the bloodline when you did. And I hope that someday you'll respect my reasons for doing what I'm doing now. And he goes, but that's not why I'm here. He goes, Braun Breaker's demanding a match against you tonight. And me and Seth can't turn him away. He goes, but if you accept being traded to SmackDown, you can get away with it. He goes, I spoke to Pierce, and he goes, and Nick Aldis. And as a favor, he goes, if you go to SmackDown, I've gotten you a WWE Championship match against the winner of John Cena and Randy Orton. That's how much Seth Rollins thinks of you. He goes, think about your future, Sammy. Think about your family's future. He goes, you could either live with the future or you can die with the past. And then as Heyman leaves, you kind of see Braun Breaker like psycho staring from the hallway, like, I want to kill Sammy. And that was that. So good, layering it out throughout the show.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm kind of like, the reason why I mentioned Becky wanting to be a heel versus her husband.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not like.
Well, because I do want to get into the discussion more towards the end too about where you're going to, but say your thing.
Okay, so let's save it. Let's save it for that.
So later on in the evening, Seth Rollins comes to the ring again, and he calls out Sammy. He says, "We got to talk it out." Sammy comes out again. Rollins says, I thought about it a lot. And he goes, and before Sammy, you tell me your decision. I just want you to hear me. He goes, you're putting me in a tough spot. We go way back. And for the life of me, I don't want anything bad to happen to you. 20 years of friendship. He goes, last week I saw you celebrating with Jey Uso. And tonight I thought it was going to be the same for you and me. He goes, I know you don't agree with it. He goes, but what we're doing, the way forward, we believe that this is the future of the WWE. And he goes, and the fact that you don't believe in me, Sammy, it hurts my feeling. He goes, this business tears friendships apart, and we've been on both sides of that. He goes, how many true friends can we count on in this business? Less than 5? He goes, you're one of my true friends, Sammy. He goes, and then he starts talking about when his daughter was born. Sammy was one of the first people that Seth called. He was scared shitless, and Sammy gave him some of the best advice he's ever gotten, and he'll be forever grateful for that. So they're tying in some personal stuff here as well. And he goes, and I'd like to return the favor and give you a piece of advice that could save your life. And he goes, take the pass. Take the way out, Sammy. He goes, because if you stay on Raw and you don't believe in me, bad things are going to happen to you. And he goes, and I love you, Sammy, and I don't want bad things to happen to you. I was like, oh, Seth, Jesus Christ, bro. You going to kill him? What are you going to tell him? You going to fucking make him? What are you, a mobster? Heyman definitely is giving Godfather concierge vibes. Like that sit down with Sammy earlier in the night, that was like the businessman of the mob going
that was like the beginning of the bloodline. Hangman.
Yes.
This is exactly how this felt.
I agree. So then Sammy, he plays it out. He takes, a super long time. And he says, Seth, if I hurt your feelings as a friend, I'm sorry. He goes, but everything I said is true. We are good friends. Our kids play together. He goes, outside of the ring, that's all true. He goes, but everything inside this ring, you think you're playing games. You think you're really good at this stuff. And that's why you're in the position that you're in. He goes, but because we're close, I know exactly what card to play. How the one thing that's eluded me, the WWE Championship, how that, to dig that with me because that tears me up because I've never been a WWE champion. And he goes, friend or not, he goes, have you ever known me to run away? Have you ever known me to be that type of guy to run away? And then Seth goes, I'm not going to stand here and be threatened by you, Sammy. He goes, and he goes, that's what's happening here. He goes, I'm being threatened with being a target. He goes, but guess what? I've been a target 1,000 times before. I can't live with being blacklisted, blackballed, extorted, strong-armed, and I won't be threatened. And Sammy very emphatically says, I will win a world championship at some point. And when I do, it won't be because of any favors. It'll be because I did it my way and I did it the right way. And he says, so as a friend, I respect and love you, but you can go to hell. And then Rollins does this big, he just closes his eyes. He's just he's like, oh man. And then Braun Breaker's music hits and him and Heyman make their way out to the ring. And then this leads to the main event match of the night, which was Braun Breaker versus Sami Zayn.
Yeah.
Good match. Sammy was wrestling in jeans. He wasn't even in his wrestling outfit. He was just took his shirt off, was wrestling in jeans.
Yeah, that was. I kind of liked that part of it. Actually.
I did too. I thought that was a nice little touch. Good match between the two. But Sami Zayn gets speared over and over and over again. and the referee has to stop. I mean, I think Braun Breaker won. Did they announce that Braun Breaker won the match because the ref stopped it? Or did this just end with
I
like a
don't think there was an announcement.
Okay.
I don't remember there being one.
Yeah, I wasn't. Yeah, because all of a sudden the referee just kind of checks on Sammy and he calls for the medics. But I don't know if that counted as a referee stoppage and like the match ended and Braun won, or if it was just kind of like, yeah, this is over now. So that happens. Braun Breaker gives Sammy 3 spears. Sammy's in trouble. They call for the medics. And then Seth kind of walks up to the ring. He gives Braun a look. And Sammy's outside right now with the medics and security. And they're like kind of getting Sammy up to his feet. And we all know what's coming. We all know what's coming. Seth looks at Braun. He gives Braun a nod. Braun slides to the outside. And he sets up the super spear where he hits full force, full speed. And he spears Sami Zayn for the 4th time. Michael Cole is screaming at Paul Heyman to tell them to stop. Cut it out, stop. Tell him to stop. Michael Cole is just yelling. He's yelling for Seth Rollins, do something. He goes, but they're just sitting there watching Braun Breaker do what he does. David, I agree. I think that Braun probably does have the best spear in the business now. Then we get back in the ring, and the referee physically covers Sammy. Chad Patton, the referee, physically gets on top of Sammy at this point to like try to stop them from the ref.
You don't usually see this.
Yes. I thought it was a nice touch though. Even the ref was like, all right, like, no.
Yeah.
I thought it was good. They're all swarming again. Jamie Noble's trying to push Braun and Seth back. Seth takes Braun back into the corner, and you can hear Seth say to Braun, he goes, tonight is his first lesson. And he goes, and there are people that deserve their empathy and compassion, but Sammy made his bed. And Rollins hits the stomp on Sammy to finish the beatdown. And that's how the show goes off the air, with Braun, Seth, and Heyman standing tall over a murdered Sami Zayn. Now, I thought from a storyline perspective, I thought from what we saw layered throughout the evening, I thought it was really good. I'm very much into Sammy and Seth on a one-on-one feud. I'm into it. I like it. I do think the fact that they are mentioning Sammy in the world title, again, we know Triple H with his long-form storyline next year at WrestleMania.
That was not by accident.
And next year at WrestleMania, going into WrestleMania, Seth Rollins should be the champion, and Sami Zayn should win the Royal Rumble, and it should be Sammy and Seth for the world title at WrestleMania, and Sammy should win the world title at WrestleMania. That's exactly what should happen. A year in advance. That's when I saw that on Monday, and they started talking about Sammy. Fine, eventually I'm gonna win the world title and all that. I was like, yes, you are, Sammy, and it's gonna be against Seth. Because that's what they're fucking showing me. And that's what they're telling me. The Royal Rumble's in Saudi next year. We've talked about it months ago when they announced that. Sammy's winning that Royal Rumble in Saudi next year. Sammy's winning that Royal Rumble. That's what's happening.
Yep.
And it should be Seth and Sammy for whatever show, the Raw World title, whatever you want to do. And that's Sammy's moment next year at WrestleMania. Let's rewind. Right? We're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's rewind back. You made a couple references earlier. When Braun Breaker, now Sami Zayn is the ultimate babyface in WWE to me. The ultimate babyface. When the crowd is chanting one more time for Sami Zayn to get speared again, that's a problem to me. Now, again, if that wasn't Sami Zayn, if that was maybe a Damian Priest, or that was a Drew McIntyre, or that was a LA Knight, or something like that, and the crowd's chanting one more time, I still think it's an issue. But when it's Sami Zayn, a guy that the crowd is always behind, like always behind, one of your most underdog crowd, like Mick Foley-esque crowd response. Like, he's adored. Sammy is adored by the crowd. And when you have that audience chanting for the heel group to continue to murder one of your most over underdog baby faces, that's an issue. That's an issue.
Yeah.
And I think moving forward, we have to do something that really makes this group feel like heels, because this group is cool, man. We all like Seth. Scott just said it. Braun was a borderline babyface before he joined this group. We all like Braun. We know that Braun's the future 10-time world champ. We all know. Heyman is Heyman. We all respect the hell out of that guy. Like, they are three guys that especially Seth and Heyman, we know they can be great heels, but we don't want to boo that. Like, it's a new group. It's a cool group. They're doing cool shit. I worry that WWE has, they've created a problem now with the storytelling that they're doing and the insider stuff that they're showing. Because I think that's really the problem.
That you took the words right out of my mouth.
I think that's really and I'm not one of those guys that is like, yeah, we got to keep kayfabe, blah, blah. I'm not one of those like that.
Oh yeah, me neither.
But I think we're getting to a problem now where WWE is showing so much inside of the business that whether they're baby faces or heels or not, it's not going to matter anymore. Like, I think we're getting to a point now where, like, it's not going to matter as much as it used to, because now we all know, even though we all really knew, duh. But now, like, they're presenting it in a way that we know. They know we know. They know we know now. It used to be that we
actively trying to get the crowd to boo them.
No. And I think that is part of what's happening here. Not just that it's a new group and everyone's jacked up for a new group and it's cool and Seth and Braun. Like, it's cool. I think we're getting a little bit too inside here. To me, the fact that it was Sami Zayn and the crowd was just wanting to see Sami Zayn continue to get his ass kicked, I was like, that's not what you want out of this. You want Sami Zayn to be the sympathetic guy that Rollins and Braun are. You want the crowd to be acting like Michael Cole was acting.
Right.
Stop it. Somebody stop this, all right? Like, that's Sami. Stop it. And you got the crowd chanting, fucking do it again. Not good. That's not what you want. Now, again, plenty of time. They can figure it out. And I have, more than the previous regimes, I give Triple H the benefit of the doubt that he can figure it out. But I just don't think that.
Well, the problem, though, is Triple H is taking part in a lot of this pulling back the curtain stuff, too. So I don't know if I don't know if he wants to figure it out. I don't know if he wants to change it at this point.
Yeah.
Because, there's that new Netflix series that's going to come out in the summer called Unreal, where they're like literally going, hey, so here's how storylines are developed.
Yeah.
Like, that's, and like you said, I am also not like kayfabe brother, type of I'm not that type of a person. But even I'm like, do we really need that? That really necessary?
Yeah. Yeah. What's going on, Fernando? Yeah, and that's just kind of where I'm at. That's just kind of where I'm at with it. And I thought everything that we saw on the television show was really good. I like the opening segment. I dig the Sammy Seth thing. I like the opening segment. I liked Heyman kind of giving him the, I'll give you an offer you can't refuse type of thing in the back with the championship match. That was a terrible Godfather impersonation. I apologize for that.
It was. You should be ashamed of yourself.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad.
You've insulted me as an Italian.
And I like the Yang segment. I like Sammy sticking up to Seth and saying, go to hell, man. I love you. We're friends, but go to hell. I'm not doing that. And then I love Seth kind of being like, I love the guy, but guess what? He made his choice. So we got to do what we got to do. I loved everything. I just think the crowd react. And again, it's one crowd. It's one crowd. Okay. Might be different. It might be different as we go along to different arenas and different areas. But I just thought, as of that, I was just like, oh, you don't want the crowd chanting for the heels when the heels are killing one of your top baby.
Right.
You just don't.
This is the guy that's going to be hopefully winning the Royal Rumble.
Yes, this is the guy that
WrestleMania next year.
Yes, on Monday you might have started a long-term story where this guy is the great hope going in. Fernando, I've been saying that for a year on this show, that Sami Zayn, at least from a fan perspective, not an in-ring, like Sami Zayn is levels above, even though Mick was great. But like from a character perspective, Sami Zayn is this generation's Mick Foley when it comes to the crowd and the way that they cheer for him. So when the crowd is chanting for him to get speared for a 5th time, yeah, that's not good. That's not what you want.
Yeah,
that's not what you want. Other than that, though, because that really, like I said, that they had 4 different segments. They had the opening segment, they had the segment in the back, then they had this second promo segment, then they had the main event match, and then they had the post-main event match segment.
So really 5.
So this whole thing took up most of the show, which, again, was all good. I'm not complaining about, but this was a good chunk of the show.
I don't think so. I do want to address. So Fernando said the crowd is getting tired of Sami.
No,
I
I
don't think it's that the crowd is getting tired of Sami. Now, what I will say,
if Sami keeps losing,
I don't know if it was helpful what they did last Monday with Sami and Jay.
Well, Sami needs friends, maybe now. So.
Well,
Jay, we're gonna get into it because Jay's gonna be doing something else for a little bit here, so we'll get into that when we get there. But at some point, you would assume that Sami and Braun are gonna Seth and Braun. Sami's gonna need a tag partner, and Jey Uso would make sense. And then, especially if at some point you would think Seth Rollins is going to take that title from Jey Uso, I feel like that's kind of
So what I'm worried about with what they did last week is that now, because of all this behind the curtain, nonsense that they're doing, people are going to be like, oh, okay, so I guess it looks like Sami might end up turning heel on Jay because of that segment.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but it's not going to. But I think that's out of mind now with what we saw on Monday. Nobody's thinking about that anymore.
Oh, I hope not. But was the one more time thing a part of it?
What do you mean?
Like the last week's segment was a segment that a lot of people were talking about because it looked like Sami was turning on Jay.
Yeah.
And like that wasn't just a random throwaway segment.
No.
That was a major moment on the show that looked like something huge was about to happen. Mm-hmm. Like my heart was in my throat for like 8 straight minutes because I thought they dragged that segment out for so long. Then they brought Jimmy out and it just looked like something was going to happen. And I know now that was probably by design. But the problem when you do things like that is that it then muddies up the perspective of the crowds because now you're always thinking that, oh, something's about to happen. And this person's motivations look like eventually something like this is going to happen. So now, were they chanting one more time because they think that Sami is going to be going heel soon?
No.
It's a legitimate question to ask.
I mean, maybe, I guess. I thought they were just chanting one more time because...
I mean, and also, of course, the cool factor.
It's cool to like the heels, man.
There's that coolness factor of Braun and Seth and Heyman.
When you make all your heels cool heels, at some point the crowd's going to just be chanting for the heels.
Which, I mean, and crowds have chanted for Kevin Owens before.
Oh, yeah.
Crowds have chanted for Randy when he was a heel. And they've chanted, Cena right now is a heel, and he's still getting cheered for the most part.
100%.
So
it's always happened. It's just now I feel like they don't care about leaning into it as much as they... Before, And, again, it was a different regime. But before, when heels started getting cheered, I felt like they made an effort to get the heels not to be cheered anymore. Now I feel like they don't care. I think they're just like, hey, fans are going to cheer how they cheer. It's better that they're saying something than not saying anything at all. So whatever. I feel like that's the vibe they have.
Yeah.
But again, when in wrestling, when your storylines are going to eventually lead to the good guy over, triumphing over evil, it doesn't really work if half the crowd is rooting for the evil. It doesn't really have the effect that you want it to have.
Yes.
And I think
WrestleMania.
And I think we are running into a blurry territory that's maybe a little bit too blurry than it should be. Spencer says, I wouldn't be shocked if Sammy turns heel. Bit of a void at the top with KO and Roman babyface now. I agree, but I also feel like Seth officially turning heel and you add Braun Breaker. I think there will be more people joining that group as well eventually. I don't know. I feel like on Monday it was the start of the long-term progression to get Sammy to win the world title. Like that was the start of and I say long term storyline that Sammy will win the world title and he's going to beat Seth for it because he specifically looked Seth dead in the eye and said, I am going to be a world champion someday. And I think that was done very much on purpose because Sammy in his brain was, I'm going to beat your ass for this world title. Or that's at least how I took that. So again, and like I said, it's one night. Seth could come out. If you really want to know, he needs new music.
He needs a whole new. They can't be doing this shit.
You can't keep that music. If you want him to be the heel that you want him to be, you can't keep that music because the crowd is going to sing for that music no matter what. You just can't do it.
What kind of bothered me about this is that I'm kind of realizing a little bit more lately how much of WWE is playing for the pop and for the moment.
And that's what they've always said that though. They said it's about.
I know, but for some reason on Monday, I really was like, that was like the thing that stood out to me because I don't know what I wasn't, I guess, expecting a Dom Mysterio like heel booing from the crowd to Seth, but like he literally just came out as the same Seth Rollins pre-WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And that's absolutely not what should be happening.
Now again, Sami Zayn is his lifelong friend. They've been friends for 20 years. They buried that into our brains, saying it repeatedly. So I feel like maybe Monday night, what we saw at the end of Monday night, that's the start because that was a lifelong friend that he obviously is on this path that he doesn't care about seriously hurting, So maybe that is Seth being different because he was, heading into Mania, he was kind of the tweener. You had the two baby faces in Punk and Roman, and Seth was playing kind of that agitator, kind of that, he wasn't fully heel until the match happened at Mania, but he was leaning that way. And him beating the crap out of his best friend or one of his best friends, maybe now starting this Monday, we see a more evil, vicious side of Seth Rollins. I don't know. But as of right now, I think I don't see these reactions changing unless there's significant change to the character. So we'll see. We'll see where it goes. The other big thing that happened on Raw, and I know the week prior I thought it was a good segment the week prior. I thought it went a little long on shit. But I thought it was a good segment. You weren't vibing with it, but I thought that, I thought the promo that McAfee cut on Monday was really good. I thought it was really good.
Okay, let me just say this. He is a very good talker.
Oh yeah.
I cannot say that is not the case with Pat McAfee. This went on for like 5 extra minutes than it needed to. Like, it really did not need to take up this much time. I was like, yep, okay. All right, cool. You're defending Michael Cole's honor. Yeah. You're a Pittsburgh guy, and
Well, that's
Pittsburgh,
trash. But
Pittsburgh things and whatever. And I'm just like, okay, and when is this going to be over? We get to the end here? Because he just dragged that promo out. I was like, all right, we get what's going on. You like saying fuck. And
I know, it's true. Yeah, he did a couple of times.
And the fact that he's the first one to get to do that and not, anybody else. Okay, I guess. But I didn't hate the Gunther taking them out part of last week's show.
Mm-hmm.
But I hated where it was going. And this is where it's going. And I don't care. I don't care to see Pat McAfee and Gunther in a match.
Yeah. I mean, look, for somebody who's a big Gunther guy like me, I wish Gunther was doing something different. But at the same time, yeah.
And I say again, to everybody that was pooing on Jey Uso and Gunther, are you happy about Pat McAfee and Gunther?
I mean, listen, I think the match will be fine. I expect Gunther to win the match unless there's some sort of somebody, Sandy says maybe Dragunov comes and helps McAfee or something like that. I think unless something like that happens, I think Gunther beats him. I can't find a way that they would have McAfee go over on Gunther. That would be a miserable scenario if they went that way. But again, the way that I look at it is, is McAfee my cup of tea all the time? No. But if you go to live shows and he's there, when his music hits, it's one of the biggest pops of the night. No question. No question. It is one of the biggest pops of the night you will hear. He is over. There's a reason. Scott. Yeah, Dragunov's not coming back until later on this year, at least according to reports. But it is what it is. Now, we'll see how it goes. Fernando, that's not going to happen. So I would get that thought out of your head, man. This will be a competitive match. But that is how it's going to go. But again, I do agree with you that I thought, when he started talking about like when I'm 6 feet under the ground and blah, blah, blah. People say this, people say that. I was like, all right, I get it. The whole, hey, I stuck up for Michael Cole. That's what you should be leaning into. Because that's where the crowd's going to get behind you.
That part of the promo I liked.
Yeah, that's where the crowd's going to get behind you. They're like, yeah, man, he was a punter, so barely a football player. But you used to be a football player. Like, yeah, you should stick up for the little guy, Michael Cole. Like, that's where the crowd is going to buy into you. But then once you start talking about, you worked your ass off, you did this, you did that. No, I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit about that. Whatever. Just say you're loyal to Michael Cole. You did it for Michael Cole, and that's why you're doing it. But eventually Nick Aldis comes out. He says he wants to fight Gunther. Nick Aldis comes out. He says Gunther's not here. And then he says, but at Backlash, we'll have the match. And McAfee says, I agree. He agrees.
Doesn't mean it's not going to happen, Fernando.
Yeah. I mean, and again, we have to stop thinking. I just think we as a whole just need to stop thinking that way in general. Like, they're going to do what they're going to do, man. Like, there's no use in us getting upset. Like, Gunther's going to win again, unless some chicanery or nonsense happens and he doesn't, but Gunther's going to win. He's not going to kill Pat McAfee. He's not. Sorry. Do I think it's going to be a 20-minute barn burner where they're going back and no, but McAfee's going to get some shit in. He is. Mm-hmm. It is what it is. And, if you watched NXT and you saw McAfee versus Adam Cole and some of the matches McAfee has had down there, he can go. Those matches were good. Just saying. Like,
that was also like 5 years ago.
I agree. I'm not. Look,
6
I'm not.
years ago,
I'm not
even.
expecting this to be that type of thing. But like, it's not like This is not Pat McAfee versus Vince McMahon from WrestleMania.
Oof.
Like, you know what I mean? Like that. I need people to not think like that. It's not that. Like, this is, it was a long time ago, but he wrestled a handful of times, or 2 or 3 times in NXT, one-on-one, and I mean, from an in-ring perspective, they're 2 of the best. Different types of wrestlers, but 2 of the best. So that is a disservice, and I will not accept slander in my chat. So you better watch what you say, sir. But it is what it is. So again, am I thrilled? No. I think Gunther is above Pat McAfee in general, but I'd rather Gunther be in a storyline that is getting TV time than not around. So it is what it is, unfortunately. And it could be. It could be by the time we get there, which is it's next Saturday. It's next set. No, it's next Saturday, the 10th. So we have the go home week.
One Raw. Oh my God.
Yeah. From Mania to Backlash is 3 weeks.
That's crazy.
3 weeks. So we have a go home show. I expect Gunther to be back on Monday. So maybe something happens and it does turn into a fight. I think that would be a better scenario for the match, would be with the stipulation. For sure. I agree with you there, Fernando. But all right, let's talk about this now. Just get it out of the way now, because I know that you're not going to feel great about it because you're biased. Logan Paul, he makes his way to the ring. Where the hell are my notes? There's not a lot of them. It was a very quick thing, but still. Yeah, so Logan Paul makes his way to the ring. He makes fun of the crowd, does his little thing, blah, blah, blah. He says, main event Jey Uso doesn't look like a legend. Logan Paul has done everything in this industry except win a world title. He says, so Jey Uso, your days are numbered because you got something that I want. Jey Uso comes out. He says, we're going to silence this noise because you think you can I'm just going to hand the title over to some punk ass YouTuber. Crowd flips out. He goes, I'm going to get real with you. He goes, I watched Gunther beat my twin to a bloody pulp, and that did something to me. It lit a fire that's never going to go out. This title isn't given. It's earned. It's mine. And if you want it, come take it. Yeet. Yeet. Logan's, rolling his eyes. He tells Jey Uso that he sounds stupid, and this is how it's going to go. He's going to take the title, and Jey will do what he does best. Crash out, screw up, and lose in less time than he held the Intercontinental Championship. He goes, so enjoy it while you can. And then Jey Uso takes him out with a super kick. And that's how that segment ends in the ring. Now, later on in the evening, Jey Uso is out in the back talking to Sami Zayn. And as Sami leaves, Jey Uso turns around, and he turns around right into the devastating right hand from Logan Paul, which knocks Jey Uso out. And Logan Paul celebrates over Jey Uso's laid out body on the ground, and that. So, and we are getting Logan Paul versus Jey Uso for the world title at Judgment Day. And before everybody rolls their eyes like Drew just did, I actually think this is the perfect first opponent for Jey Uso. Because the crowd is going to 1,000% be behind Jey Uso. 1,000%. And I think that is the type of guy that you want Jey Uso to fight, is a guy that everybody wants Jey Uso to beat. And we know that Logan Paul is good inside.
It's somebody that I want Jey Uso to beat, but it's also somebody that I also want to watch. And unfortunately, it not only fills one of those criteria, not two.
And that is your opinion. That is your opinion. I don't care about the man individually, but every time I see him in the ring, he has good matches. So it is what it is. Like him, hate him, don't like him, whatever. Do I want him around? No. But I think, you can either just be curmudgeon-y about it forever, or you can just kind of accept what's going on. And I think it's a lot easier if you just kind of accept what's going on. Logan Paul's not going anywhere. He's not going anywhere. We're going to have to talk about them. We're going to have to watch them. So it is what it is, guys.
I don't have to talk about them.
We do a show. We've talked about this before, Drew. We do a show where we talk about the television shows.
That does not mean that I have
And
to
if
talk
he
about them.
and if he's on the television show, we're talking about him. So it is what it is.
You can.
No,
You do.
we're going to, because it's our show, unless you don't want it to be anymore. So that's what we're going to be doing. Got it? Good. I'm glad. Good talk. Good talk there. That was a good talk.
I don't think I said more than 10 words.
Exactly. Good talk. But yes, Logan Paul is going to be the challenger for Jey Uso. He will lose. But again, I will say this is the perfect opponent for Jey Uso, because
this is what happens every time I think of Logan Paul.
That's Creed.
Yes, I know. Hi, Ryan.
Hi, Ryan. What does Creed have to do with Logan Paul?
6 feet from the edge. And I'm thinking maybe 6 feet ain't so far down.
Whatever. I think everybody just needs to stop whining. But anyway, I digress. Who cares? It's going to be a nothing match. Jey Uso is going to get a nice little title retain. Everyone's going to eat.
I want the World Heavyweight Championship to be in a nothing match. Really, that does great wonders for the World Heavyweight.
No, but I didn't mean, you know what I meant. I didn't mean it that way. It's a match that we know Jey Uso is going to win. It's a good first title defense for Jey Uso against a guy that everybody wants to see lose. I don't think that's a bad thing for Jey Uso, because what happened at WrestleMania? By the time you got there, half the crowd was saying Jey Uso didn't deserve it and Gunther should win and this and that, this and that. We're not going to get that here. This is going to be, oh, fuck yeah, Jey. Go handle business. That's what you want.
He will. And
yeah, of course he will.
It'll be a match.
And it will.
It'll probably be fine.
Yeah, it probably will be. And we're all going to survive. And nobody's feelings are going to get hurt. And everything's going to be fine.
My eyes are going to be.
I'm sure you'll be okay. I'm sure you'll be okay. I'm sure they won't leave your body.
They'd like to.
I think they'd be fine. Was anybody complaining when he fought Cody? And he had a great match with Cody for the title? Or when he fought Roman and had arguably one of the best matches of the year with Roman a couple years ago for the title?
Excuse me?
Yeah. You don't remember that match with Logan Paul and Roman Reigns? It was an incredible match from a few years ago.
No, because I didn't watch that show.
Oh. What was that? Was that on a Saudi show?
Yeah, it was a Saudi show, which now I have to watch those. Thank you very much. And also, it was Logan Paul.
Yeah.
Now I have to watch. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So, what are you going to do when he actually wins that world title at some point?
That will.
What are you going to do? Are you going to cry about it? What are we going to do? Because
that might be a problem.
I thought we were grown-ups. But, it is what it is. It is what it is, man.
Yeah.
But anyway, I digress. You know what I did enjoy, and hopefully you did as well. We got a nice little Rhea Ripley versus Roxanne Perez match out of nowhere on this Raw, which was wonderful.
No, this was actually very good.
This was wonderful. I enjoyed it a lot. Obviously, it ended with some bullshit, and it ended with the DQ to kind of, keep things going. But man, let me tell you, Roxanne Perez, just come on. Unbelievable, Roxanne Perez. This was
nice
great
to see her
match.
On the main roster again.
Well, they're doing both. So, all right. Usually after WrestleMania, you get your call-ups, right? You get your NXT call-ups and things of that nature. We saw last week Julia and Roxanne coming up and kind of being a team of sorts. And then in this, they have this match. It looks like Rhea is going to win towards the end, and Julia comes down and takes out Rhea. Rhea wins by DQ, and Roxanne Perez and Julia beat Rhea down. And then Io Sky comes out to make the save. And they start beating down Io Sky, and then Rhea kind of comes back in and they run them off. And it looks like, we have Io and Rhea kind of standing side by side with each other here, looking down at Julia and Roxanne. And then on NXT, you had Io Sky show up on NXT the next night as well and get involved. And her and Roxanne Perez had, my God, Io Sky and Roxanne Perez in that match was fantastic. But I thought this was good. So we see 2 weeks in a row, we have Julia and Roxanne on Raw. And then the next night, they're both on NXT. And for 2 weeks in a row, we had the NXT Women's Champion on Raw. As Stephanie Vaquer was there again.
Yeah.
I agree, Fernando. They have tremendous chemistry. I mean, I feel like Io and Roxanne are two wrestlers that have great chemistry with no matter what they do, with whoever they, you know what I mean? So you put them in the ring together and it's really, really good. So we had Stephanie Vaquer for the second straight week also on Raw. And she had a one-on-one match with Ivy Nile. And let me tell you, I'm giving Ivy Nile her flowers because Ivy Nile was excellent in this match with Stephanie Vaquer. And they had themselves a good little match, which Vaquer won as well. I agree with that, Fernando. So now I'm sitting here going,
I think the women carried Raw this week. I got to be.
They were littered throughout the show. So now I'm sitting here going, are they just going to do both? Because they know that these are three stars that are just Stephanie Vaquer. When she came out to the ring, the crowd she's a super.
She's already
star
over.
Already.
Yeah.
Like it's immediately.
Booker T,
one of the top
not
stars.
even necessary to get her over on the main roster.
No, although when she does that move, I need it. I need the track. Just hit a button or something. I need it. But you know, it's so good. It's so good. The fact that she points at him now when she does it. The fact that she points at him now, I'm just like, God bless you, Steph. Now, are we just to assume that Stephanie Vaquer is on the main run? Like, I feel like you can't bring her back down with the reception.
What's happening is they're integrating more of the women now because of the eventual Evolution pay-per-view.
That's probably the case. Yeah.
I think it's supposed to be in like June or July.
Yeah, I think so. That's the rumor. July 5th is the rumor. Saturday. I think it's a Saturday right after. Yeah, the day after the 4th. That's the rumor.
So that's why I think they're doing this, which I don't have an issue with it because I've been enjoying the women's stuff more than the men's stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I think to get Lyra and Stephanie and Julia and Roxanne, maybe another couple of women for SmackDown.
Mm-hmm.
Newer, like, more NXT brought up to, the Metaphor just disbanded for some reason. But Lash Legend and Jakara
Jackson. Yeah. It sounded like they were going their separate ways too, though. But it sounded like they were going their separate ways too, though.
Well, it doesn't have to be the tag team. It could just be as single stars.
Yeah.
But I think we're seeing this on purpose. And I'm not hating it at all.
No, I didn't even think about it that way, to be honest with you. I was just kind of like, because we had talked for a long time of how long are Julia and Stephanie going to be in NXT, because they're at a caliber of a level of talent where they should be on the main roster, like their main roster talent, as is Roxanne. And I was like, oh, after Mania. But now Stephanie's the NXT champion, but after Mania, they've all been on the show these 2 weeks. And I'm just like, they just know that they're too good to be, not that NXT is very good. I love NXT, but like they should be on the main, so I'm just like, is this just what we're going to get from here on out? But the fact that, I didn't even take the Evolution 2 into account. So that actually does make sense that they would integrate them more on the main roster, especially as you would assume they will be involved in that. Like I expect the NXT title to be defended at that show, so like that makes sense. That makes sense. That's actually a good call out because I wasn't even thinking. I knew it was happening, obviously, and I'm excited for it, but that wasn't even on my mind when it came to this. But yeah, WWE, NXT, all of them, their women's division is really, it's got to be the
Maybe
best
even
women's
the
division.
TNA woman or two.
Yeah, wouldn't hate it. Wouldn't hate it.
Hi, Lou.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, just put right in my butt. Yeah, put that right in my face, bro. That's exactly what I need, Lou. It's just you being PG-13, bro. Come on, bro. Trying to finish a show. Get down. No. Yep. Get down. Do it. Yep. There it is. Thanks. All right. So as we continue along on the show, brother. I don't know what's going on. Get down. Jesus Christ. Anyway. Now I'm flustered. The good thing is we talked about the Seth Rollins stuff, so that took up about a third of the show or half of the show.
Yeah.
What else happened on Raw that we
Judgment
did not
Day
talk
and
about? Judgment Day
Warriors
stuff.
happened.
Yeah, let's dive into some Judgment Day stuff, shall we? We had a backstage segment earlier on in the night. Finn Balor rolls up. He welcomes JD McDonough back, and he takes him aside, and he goes, "Hey, why didn't you tell me you were coming back?" He's like, how come I didn't know? And McDonough says, look, it all happened quickly. I told Dom and I figured it would get back to you. And they're kind of going back and forth. And then Liv rolls up and says, hey, you guys got to get ready for your match. And Finn is like, what match? And JD goes, oh, I got us a match against the War Raiders, to get us back towards the tag titles. He goes, Liv was supposed to tell you, but she was busy. And then Finn kind of grumbles a little bit, and he's like, "Oh God." He's like, "All right," and he goes off. And then Carlito, he goes, "Maybe Carlito needs a championship." He goes, "Judgment Day is getting gold. Maybe Carlito needs some gold." And he bites the apple, and it looks like he has an epiphany, and he just kind of leaves. So that was that.
I love Carlito.
And then later on, yeah, we had the Judgment Day, Finn Balor and JD McDonough against the War Raiders. Decent match, decent tag match. But the War Raiders actually beat him. So the Judgment Day gets an L here. As JD McDonough falls to the War Machine, and the War Raiders win. Now the fact that they lost,
it wasn't a clean.
I was going to say, JD McDonough was up at the top rope, much like Penta was up at the top rope last week, and Penta returned the favor. And he went up there. He distracted JD McDonough. He got him on the rope. He pushed him off the rope, which led to the War Machine to get the victory. So that happened there. And then was there more Judgment Day stuff later? Was that it? Just the tag match in that opening? Or was there another segment after that?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. That was it. And then
interesting thing too. So there's an obvious effort to show that Finn Balor is not included in anything.
Mm-hmm.
No communications whatsoever. Mm-hmm. And then also he's not helping it by not traveling with them as well, because you notice this is the second week now, and it's not even it's the second week in a row, but it was happening even before WrestleMania, where all of Judgment Day minus Finn Balor show up to the arena, and Judgment Day is always shown in the back without Finn Balor, and Finn Balor by himself happens to just slide into the picture. So
yeah,
that's something I think that will need to be explained at some point, because why is Finn just never with you guys? Like what's going on there? So we'll see what happens there, but right now I still don't see Finn as the babyface. He's still acting like heelish to me. I just like if the Judgment Day kicked him out of the group right now,
yeah,
I would not be sympathetic to him.
That's fair. Yeah, I think that's fair. I don't know if they have anybody in the group that you would be sympathetic for. Dom, maybe, if they did, but it all depends on how they do it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. We're gonna have to kind of see how it goes because it feels like they've been dragging this out for a bit. So
it's been a long time.
yeah, like we gotta make a move here. We gotta make a move here. Backstage throughout the night, Penta is backstage with Nick Aldis. Aldis tells him that he needs to calm down and he knows he wants payback, but he's not going to fine him. He goes, but that can't happen again. You can't do what you just did. That you can't get involved in stuff. Penta agrees. And he goes, but I got good news for you. He goes, next week I booked you a match against JD McDonough. And then Chad Gable and Ivy Nile roll up. Gable mocks him for dropping the big one at WrestleMania. He goes, hey, good job losing WrestleMania. He goes, Sierra Romero, huh? Oh, yeah. Sierra Romero? Yeah, okay. He goes, but you know what was? He goes, my favorite part of WrestleMania wasn't you losing. He goes, no. He goes, my favorite part was watching your useless brother, Phoenix, drop his first WrestleMania match to El Grande Americano. Penta then gets pissed. He lays out Chad with an insecurity, calls him an asshole, I guess in Spanish is what I heard. He called him an asshole. And then he tells him not to mess. And he mentions the Lucha Brothers. He mentions the name. He goes, don't mess with the Lucha Bros. I was like, oh,
that was nice.
I was like, we're getting it. Oh, the Lucha Brothers are coming. They're coming. So that happened. That was a backstage segment. We then had, oh, baby, let me tell you, Rusev. This Rusev vignette that they did here. This is what I wanted, Drew. We talked about it last week. I said, I need Rusev the Redeemer. I need the Redeemer character.
Yeah,
I feel like we got it. I feel like we got it. He gets a hype wheel. He said, they're showing old stuff. He says, I had it all. He goes, I had it all. He goes, I had tanks. I had the girl. I had success. They showed all old Rusev clips and all that. And he goes, and I lost myself. He goes, I fell into the abyss. Now, was the abyss AEW? That's what a lot of people were thinking. That's what a lot of people were thinking. He goes, I fell into the abyss.
But yeah, now you're the same guy that you
I wanted to say that. I wanted to say that. So
was it really the abyss?
Yeah, he goes, I fell into the abyss, and on my way home to Bulgaria after I left WWE, he goes, the abyss is where I found myself, healed myself, redeemed myself, and realized that I no longer need to fight for a woman that isn't his. He doesn't have to fight for a flag that no longer is his. He had an epiphany, and he realized that he was free to crush people just because he wants to, and he will use his jacked body for good. Then he says, my brothers, he goes, the lack of suffering ends now. I am the tempest rolling in. I will hunt you, forgive you, and fix you. And I did see a lot of discourse on the interwebs of like, oh, he referred to the AEW as the abyss, and they took a shot at AEW. First of all,
I didn't really see it as that.
I didn't see it that way either. But at the same time, if that was the case, what you just said, okay, you fell into the abyss, but yet you've taken the character that got you over in the abyss, and now you're just going to be that character over here. So, really? But again, I didn't see it that way. That's not how I took it. I just know people are going to be people on the interwebs. And that's how they do things. And then other than that, there was one other thing, obviously Karrion Kross, as I believe we are getting what we want, Drew. And Karrion Kross is going to be more of a focal point on television. I have my notes. See, I have everything in order. And then we jump around. Get up your seat and jump around. And now I need to find my
thank you. Now I'm gonna have a song stuck in my head.
No problem. It's a good one. That song's like 35 years old, by the way. That song's super old. And it's Everlast. Did you know that? You knew that was Everlast, right?
No.
Do you remember Everlast? What it's like. You know that he had that really popular song. Now you may really know what it's like to, you know, Everlast.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Remember that song was an acoustic guitar song, Everlast. You know,
Yeah.
you never had to
Okay.
walk a mile in his shoes. That song there. That's
I
fucking
haven't
Jump
heard that in
Around.
forever.
That's Jump Around guy.
That's crazy.
Yes, that's the House of Pain. That's Everlast is one of the main dudes in House of Pain. That is him.
Wow.
That is him. Bless.
That just blew
Well, see,
my mind.
that's why you bring the 40-year-old with you, because I got the knowledge. Anyway,
Well, you're wise in your older years.
about most things, yeah. About most things. Okay.
Not about Logan Paul though. So
Well, first of all, I don't want this is what I don't want to happen, because I think now I'm going to get portrayed as like I'm a Logan Paul fan, which I am not. I don't like the guy. I think he's a piece of shit. I just think we need to be fucking grown-ups. That's all. That's all. Just be adults. I don't want to talk about him because I don't like him. Shut up. Really, just shut up.
Oh. Thank you, Fernando.
Oh,
I know you're definitely talking about
Fernando.
me.
I know you're not lying at all. You piece of crap. I'm kidding. But yeah, I'm sure there's no sarcasm in that one, you jerk.
He's talking about me.
Yeah. But anyway. All right. This is kind of the last thing we haven't talked about on Raw. And it's a small thing, but you know we love some Karrion Kross. And we liked Karrion Kross before it was cool to like Karrion Kross. You understand that? Been touting this motherfucker for a year. Nick Aldis is back there with AJ Styles. Oh no, that's not even it. That's a whole different thing. Never mind. Karrion Kross rolled up with Sami Zayn, and he had the hair going with Sami Zayn, and all that fun stuff. So it makes me think. Now we know Karrion Kross and Sami they've done stuff before. They've had little like things in the past, right? Not too long ago. But now that Sami's involved with Seth and all this other stuff, where does Karrion Kross come into that? Because is Karrion Kross
To be
Sami's
honest,
friend?
I kind of feel like Sami might be turning heel this year. I kind of agree with what Spencer was saying earlier. I don't. Maybe he wins and main events next year as a heel. Maybe somehow Jey Uso is still the World Heavyweight Championship holder, and maybe he picks Jey and turns heel on him. I don't know, but I'm telling you, from what they did last week, and then the Karrion. You remember when Karrion Kross comes into your life, something happens afterwards.
Yeah, I agree. Fernando, I think we're heading towards AJ versus Dom, man. I think we're getting AJ and Dom for the IC title at Backlash. I think that's the match. We had a backstage segment with Nick Aldis and AJ, and Judgment Day rolled in, and AJ was kind of rolling his eyes at Dom, and it looked like we might be going that route with AJ going for the IC title with Dom. And we had Kross and Sami. So I'm just kind of like, all right. Again, so very intrigued to see where things go on that front. Some things on SmackDown real quick because we got to get out of here. Zelina Vega defeated Chelsea Green.
New women's champ. Congrats.
To be the new United States Women's Champion. Good for Zelina Vega.
And that wasn't the only thing that happened involving Zelina. Well, directly involving her.
And I was going to say, we saw The Miz came out. He was cutting a promo. And once The Miz was coming out to the ring, I was like, that is the perfect scenario and the perfect guy for something to happen that we've all been expecting to happen. And it did happen. And we saw the return of Aleister Black. He had the old music.
He had the old entrance. He had the old everything.
Yep.
And that was wonderful.
Here's my thing, though. And maybe this is just me being negative. I know I'm not usually the negative one here.
I feel like I might know where you're going. Go on.
That better not have been, oh, it's his return, so we're going to use the old music, but next week he's going to have some Def Rebel bullshit. Because we've seen that. That is true. We have seen that. They better not.
Think about that.
They better not. Because that is one of the best entrance musics of all time. of all time, Aleister Black. It fits his character. It's a badass song. That was my main concern when I heard that, because the whole time I'm like, please have the old music. Please have the old music. Please have the old music. And then he had it, and I was like, hell yeah. And I was so excited. And then I was like, this better not just be a 1 week thing. And he has some bullshit next week, because I'm going to be upset. I'm going to be upset.
Yeah, it's going to have some trap.
Death Rebel crap.
Something.
But anyway.
Yeah.
I thought Chelsea had a good run with the belt. Chelsea should have had a WrestleMania match with the belt. Chelsea should have had a WrestleMania match with the belt. I have no problem with Zelina Vega beating Chelsea Green for that title.
SmackDown was kind of treated as WrestleMania Part 3.
It kind of was. It kind of was.
And
the Cena and Orton,
people were bitching about this, so we got to give them something.
Yeah. Yeah, so. We talked about the TLC match at the Jump. That was the first thing we talked about, because it was just a spectacular main event, one of the best TV matches you'll see. I thought the promo with Cena and Orton to start the show was also very good.
Yes. See, now this,
I can get into this shit.
I'm digging the Cena heel turn.
Yeah,
this is what I wanted to see.
Yeah. I'm surprised we just completely glossed over it to the point where we're gonna have to just talk about it for like a minute. But I thought this opening, I was all in on it, man. I was all in on it, man. I liked it. I liked it a lot.
So this made me go, The Rock was never needed for this heel turn. It could have just turned heel to win number 17 at WrestleMania. We didn't need the soul bullshit. We didn't need any of that stuff. It could have just happened organically at WrestleMania. And then we could have gotten the Randy Orton stuff following it. And it would have felt just so much better than it did, because now, like I said last week, we went on like 50 minutes long on The Rock and the whole PR nightmare of WrestleMania week. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm no longer thinking of The Rock as part of this. And if you do that, you feel a lot better about it.
Yeah.
And last Friday proved that, because I very much, that felt like, I would say legitimately, for the first time since turning heel, that felt like a very organically heel Cena for the first time, genuinely.
I agree.
Now it feels like he's getting into it, and I don't know if this had anything to do with Rock's Pat McAfee interview last week, and somebody, maybe Triple H or whomever, or even maybe John himself, are just like, oh yeah, I'm not having the final boss cloud hanging over my head. Let's jump into this and let's make the most of it. And I think it really paid off.
I agree. So yeah, I thought all in all, I very much enjoyed it. I wouldn't have thought that in 2025 I would be this excited for a Randy Orton John Cena match as I am. But I am very excited for this Randy Orton John Cena match at Backlash. Even though I know the outcome, I know what's going to happen. I'm just intrigued and excited by it. But overall, I thought it was a good week of wrestling. I thought Dynamite was strong. I thought Raw and SmackDown were strong as we kind of continue along. Next week is the go home week for Backlash already. Just had a pay-per-view. But next week is the go home week for Backlash. And then we are on our road to Double or Nothing. And that's where we're at. So Drew, why don't you promote your stuff, plug your stuff, and then we will get out of here for the day, my friend.
Follow me at the Drew Nicholas on Twitter and Blue Sky. You will see all my fun opinions and shouting in the void at social media.
Do you shout?
Well, not shouting. No, I just instead of typing like, oh yeah, blah blah blah, I might do a little bit of this when I do.
Yeah.
That's my shouting. And Roundtable Pro Wrestling Podcast, where we do my GM series, and I'm kicking ass there. I'm really enjoying the 2K25 my GM, and yeah, But all my links and my everything just go to mostly Twitter. I'm mainly on Twitter. I have to start using Blue Sky more. But yeah, I'm just as much as Elon and all the nonsense. Twitter's still my place. So
Listen, it's one, and we've talked about it off air. It's one of those things where, again, I don't like the guy that's running it. Twitter's a shit show, but like, all the, it's hard because you don't want to be involved with it because of certain things, but at the same time, like, that's where all the connections are. That's where all the people that I talk to are. And it's hard. It's hard to. But yes, Fernando, 9 a.m. is the new time slot. I don't think the plan is to go this long every week.
Tuesday, Monday, Tuesdays at 10, no longer. So
yes.
if there's another show that's scheduled by accident, because I did see on Tuesday, I saw that Firmly WWE was there, and you and a couple of other people were commenting in there. If you see that again, I don't think you will, but if you see that again, it's a mistake. It is not our show. We will not be live, so just ignore it.
Yeah. So the plan is moving forward, we should be sticking to Thursdays at 9 a.m. It feels like now that I've kind of been in the new shoot gig for a few weeks, that I kind of have a schedule. It could change, maybe like a random week here or there where we'll have to do a different day, but that's going to be few and far between, I hope. So it looks like Thursdays at 9 should be the spot moving forward. So that's where we'll be. You can follow me at JPJ Loves Gaming on all social media platforms. On Twitch and YouTube as well. You can catch me right back here on these airwaves tonight at 8 p.m., the flagship show here at Love Wrestling. Me and Pluggo with Between Two Beards. And like Drew just said, every Thursday, 9 a.m., Firmly Inc., we talk both AEW, both WWE here on this show. Monday nights over on Body Slam after Raw. I got the Raw Dogs post show with Corey Hayes there. Wednesday nights after AEW Dynamite, we have Dynamite up with my pal Jose Gonzalez, Jose on the air over on Body Slam as well. That's where you can find me. Appreciate you all hanging out. A long one today. Again, it's only the second week. We're figuring it out of what the format of this show is going to be. I know we jumped around a little bit at the top and then we kind of went through the shows. We're figuring it out. So bear with us over the next, handful of shows as we kind of figure out what the format is going to be. Probably when talking about everything.
Mainly our first hour next week we'll be previewing
Backlash. So we'll probably be previewing Backlash, and then we'll talk some AEW and things of that nature. So that is going to be what we're doing. Appreciate you all hanging out. Appreciate everybody in the chat today. As always, thank you guys for being here. And as always, until next Thursday morning, Drew and I will see you then. Peace out.